that'll do it.
There it is.
Bring out the Zamboni. The Blues have won 7 straight games, 8 in a row on home ice, and a 6-1 victory moves them 10 games over 500 with a record of 38, 28, and 7. And with 83 points, the Blues have moved to within 2 points of Minnesota for that top wild card spot.
Let's get nasty on a Wednesday. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. 2:03, your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. What a performance last night by our St. Louis Blues as they take care of business in dominant fashion against the Montreal Canadiens, coupled with a Minnesota Wild loss. And when I say loss, I mean it was a 5-1 drubbing at the hands of the Golden Knights. The Blues are now inching closer, not, Marsh, to a playoff spot, but to perhaps the first wild card in that Western Conference.
It's amazing.
It's what you talked about yesterday. I think you said something similar to, or something to the effect of, do you guys think that they could actually catch Minnesota, surpass them, and be the top spot for the wild card in that Western Conference? It wasn't crazy then. It's certainly not crazy now when you look at the standings, and they're only 2 points behind Minnesota following that victory last night against the Canadiens.
Anthony, they're 4 points behind the Edmonton Oilers.
Shut the front door.
Now, it doesn't matter because they're in a different division, but
just to give you perspective,
this is the Edmonton Oilers. They went to the Stanley Cup last year.
Right.
You know, they're one of the better teams, I would say, in the NHL. They have some of the best, if not the best players.
Dealing with some injury problems now.
They are.
But it's not like they've been dealing with injury problems all season.
It's not like the Blues have dealt with, they've also dealt with injury problems.
Certainly.
So the Blues are playing very good hockey right now. I wouldn't be shocked if Minnesota missed the playoffs. I really wouldn't.
Who do you like, real quick, because I want to keep this focus on and the energy on the Blues, but who do you think would surpass them for the second wildcard spot then?
I think it would be Calgary. Calgary's won 4 games in a row. They're also playing good hockey right now. They're finding ways to win. They're going to overtime. They're getting crucial points. So it would be Calgary for me. I think Vancouver, I think they're done. I really do. They're still in the mix. Don't get me wrong. They're only 1 point behind Calgary, but I think Vancouver's done. I look at Twitter all the time, and it seems like their fans are all frustrated right now.
They're irate.
Deservedly so. I don't think anybody saw the Blues doing what they're doing coming out of the Four Nations break. The Blues are the best team in the NHL since that tournament happened.
They absolutely are. One of the other teams that was red hot coming out of the Four Nations tournament was the Montreal Canadiens. Last night, if I thought about this, Marsh, if I were to just put that game in front of a hockey fan that did not know what had transpired before that game, did not know what the expectations were for the Blues at various points of the season. So when I say that, I mean that hockey fan did not have or know the expectations of the Blues coming into the year, did not know how the expectations altered throughout the course of the season. If I just showed them that game and said, tell me what you think about this game, you would think that hockey fan would come away believing that the Blues were one of the best teams in the league. That's how well I thought they played last night. The speed was there. I mean, the execution alone, outstanding. The way that they displayed puck movement, the way that they moved in and out of the neutral zone to set themselves up well offensively. There was a couple of bad moments in the defensive zone, especially after Montreal countered with that goal to tie things up at 1-1. But ultimately, that was as flawless of a game from an execution standpoint as you're going to see with the Blues.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that the past few games that they've played, although they won, and they won in convincing fashion from a scoreboard standpoint, I didn't think they played their best game. Last night, they got back to what they had been doing before, like the Chicago game, the Nashville game. Like, they got back to that.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Like, they're finishing their checks. They're doing everything that they need to do to keep this playoff push going. They're playing playoff hockey right now in the back half of this regular season. I would not want to play them in the playoffs if I'm another team. If I'm the Vegas Golden Knights or if I'm the Winnipeg Jets, I don't want to play them.
I agree with you, and let's understand where we're coming from this, because I don't care what sport you follow or what sports you follow, there's always that team entering the playoffs that isn't the best team in either fields. So if we're talking about hockey, we're talking about Eastern Conference, Western Conference, NFL, obviously talking about AFC, NFC, Major League Baseball, American League, National League. There's always a team that you circle and say, I don't want to face them.
Yeah.
And it's rarely the best team. A lot of times it's a wild card team.
Last year, Major League Baseball was the Detroit Tigers.
Right.
You didn't want to face them in that first round, especially in a short series.
They got hot. They got hot at the right time. They're playing with house money. In fact, with the Tigers, who are a perfect example, Marsh, they were sellers at the deadline.
Yeah.
They said, you know what, we should sell off some of the pieces that we have, and they wound up making the playoffs and won a playoff series in Houston. Mm-hmm. That's a perfect example. So we're not saying the Blues are the best team in the Western Conference. What we are saying is they've caught fire, they're playing their best hockey, and you don't want to face them because they now are playing with house money. Last night, from an individual standpoint, Philip Broberg and Robert Thomas were outstanding. Each recorded 1 goal and 3 assists. I mean, the addition of Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway, I know we've talked about it throughout the course of the year. I don't know how much more you could say about these two guys from an impact, from the impact they have made on this team. And Holloway, of course, contributes with a goal and assist last night as well.
They changed the whole dynamic of this team.
They changed the whole dynamic of this retool.
100%. I think the timeline, we talked about this last week when you were on vacation, but these two in particular, for me, sped up the Blues timeline in terms of their winning window.
No doubt.
So, maybe in a few years we're thinking, okay, now they're in their playoff winning window, and maybe that turns into a cup winning window. Who knows? Now I'm like, no, I feel like this team could win a cup within the next 3 to 4 years. Maybe I'm being a little in the moment right now, but
yeah, you might be a prisoner of the moment, but
maybe.
It's certainly better to talk about this than where we were 2 months ago.
100%. But they're playing a winning brand of hockey, and they have the right guy that's leading the team in Jim Montgomery. I can't imagine this team getting worse going into next season.
Right.
Even if they don't, go far in the playoffs this year. What they're doing right now has been so important, and this is exactly why you did not trade Braden Shin at the deadline.
Yeah.
Imagine where this team would be if they traded him.
That's a really good point. You almost forget about the deadline now.
Yeah.
Oh, they had to. Well, not only Braden Shen, but people were saying, why don't you trade Braden Shen and Jordan Binnington?
Yeah.
And we had maintained, if they're going to be more valuable to you a year from now, why would you deal them? Forget a year from now. How about right now? And if you wind up winning, making the playoffs alone is excellent. You wind up winning a playoff series, I think it's already justified that they kept it, but it further entrenches.
For sure.
The notion that, look, Doug Armstrong made the right move made the right decision by not making any moves. Also last night, you had Jordan Kyrou, Zach Bolduc, and Alexander Texier. Unfortunately for us, as CD picked Texier, he must have known something. He saw something in his game.
Of course he did.
Texier also found the net, and then goaltender Jordan Binnington made 24 saves. Here's Jordan Montgomery. His response when he was asked what has led to this 7-game winning streak.
I think it's just selfless, committed hockey to the process the way we believe we need to play in order to have success. And everyone's playing well. Our top line, our top 6 are scoring. They're playing defense. Our bottom 6 are scoring, and they're hanging on the pucks and protecting pucks. And our decor has been really solid. And we're missing 2 of our top players. And goaltending. Binner, I didn't like the last 9 minutes of the second, and Binner had to make 4 or 5 really big-time saves, and he made them look easy.
Think about, too, we just got done talking about the deadline, but I had mentioned this 2 days ago after the Blues had beaten the Predators on Sunday, and Monty just mentioned it, too. Colton Parayko goes down right the day before the deadline. And we were all kind of devastated because the Blues were playing well then.
Right.
They're in a different atmosphere now compared to where they were then.
Without him. And no Buchnevich, too.
Right. So you have contributions, as Monty noted, from everyone. in just my notes, we had already mentioned Broberg, Thomas, Holloway, Kyrou, Bolduc, Texier, and Jordan Binnington. Those are the ones that found the stat sheet. We're not even talking about the guys that contributed in different ways, blocking shots, strong defensive play, marking the right people in the defensive zone so that, Jordan Binnington, they couldn't sniff the cologne that Jordan Binnington was wearing. I mean, these are all things that, factor in that, if Jamie were here, I think Jamie would probably highlight some of the unsung heroes last night too. But the bottom line is, he's right. It is selfless hockey right now. Everybody, and I'm big on this, everybody's got to know their roles, and everybody's got to buy into their roles. When Hitch used to preach buy-in, that's what I always took away from it. You have to have buy-in. You have a role, Marsh. I have a role. Jamie, Carey, you all have a role. There's accountability there, and you're accountable for the guy next to you and for your team. That is when I think a team really gels, and we're seeing it right now with the Blues. It's exciting.
Well, you always hear next man up, right? And you're like, oh, okay, can they really find that production? We're seeing it the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Texier comes in. Texier couldn't sniff the lineup because of how good this team was playing. He gets entered into the lineup, 2 goals, back-to-back games. Now he's making it difficult for Jim Montgomery to take him out of the lineup when, Buchnevich comes back. Obviously, if you're going the 1-for-1, Buchnevich will play over Texier. Yeah. But now there's that conversation. Is Texier going to be on the third line? He'll probably be the odd man out, but he is stepping up when he's called upon.
Sure.
That's what this brand of hockey that Jim Montgomery has gotten this team to play, that's what's made them so good. They're all bought in, and it's really fun, and it was not expected at all. Did you expect to see this type of hockey at the end of the season?
This type of hockey, no.
Not at all. I haven't seen this type of hockey, honestly, or been this excited for Blues hockey since the season where Jordan Binnington ended up getting injured in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I thought they were playing
the Colorado series.
I thought, man, this team has a real shot to do something because of Jordan Binnington. And then he got injured, and obviously they ended up losing. But I haven't felt this way about the Blues since that moment. And I also get that feeling, the 2019 feeling a little bit. Just that excitement is there. I don't know if this team is as good as that team. Maybe they are. Who knows?
Right.
Different cast, right? But I have that exciting feeling, and it's really fun to be a Blues fan right now.
This is the exact opposite of the Ryan Miller season when they went into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Limping.
They did.
They made the big trade for Ryan Miller. What was that, 2014? 2015?
It had to be around that time, yeah.
So they make the big trade for Ryan Miller. Finally got a goaltender that's going to solidify things.
I think it was 2014.
2014. And they limped into the play. They were dreadful in the final 2 weeks of the season. They limp in, and they lose to the Blackhawks. It was I think it was Taves who had the OT winner when the puck got loose in center ice.
Yep.
And it was either Kane or Taves.
It was Taves. I think it was in Game 6.
Yes. At Enterprise.
Yep.
This is the exact opposite of that feeling right now. That's Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. It's the Fast Line on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers is traveling with the Blues. Carey Davis is in Hawaii enjoying some spring break time with his kids. So it's just Marsh and I today. We would love to have you be a part of the show. Our Air Comfort Service text line is 314-399-9646. So if you want to shoot us a text, fantastic. Anything we're discussing today, we're a bar. We're at a bar. We're at a bar. Grab a seat, pull up a stool. We're talking Cardinals and Blues and all things sports today. We also have Anthony Becht of the Battlehawks as he gets ready, his team gets ready to play in week 1 of the UFL season, and our guy Brad Thompson will also join us a little bit later on to talk a little Cardinals baseball. I'm interested to know what his thoughts are on Matthew Liberatore joining the rotation, so we'll get to BT. Speaking of the Cardinals, do the Cardinals need to establish their core this season? Let's get into reality and what's ideal. That's next on 101 ESPN. So I've already had my first misstep of the show. I'm sure there will be plenty. Apparently I called Jim Montgomery Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, he was a St. Louis guy for a little bit.
A little bit. He does not coach our St. Louis Blues. Jordan Montgomery, though, suffering from Tommy John surgery now. Things do not look good for the former Cardinals left-hander. No, Jim Montgomery is looking very good, Marsh.
Jordan Montgomery, this is why players want money when they deserve or think they deserve their bag, right? Because his career has taken a huge left turn. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be the same guy that he was when he was here in St. Louis.
Of course, you can also counter with this is why teams want to be careful with signing guys that don't have a long track record of success. And
great point.
A long track record of being healthy. But nonetheless, I like Jordan Montgomery. It's unfortunate that he's, undergoing Tommy John surgery. And really his career, you're right, is completely dipped since, I wouldn't say since he was a Cardinal, because they traded him to the Rangers, and obviously they won a World Series.
Right.
But certainly since last year when he signed the big deal with Arizona, and the GM was like, I'd love to get rid of him. If I get rid of him, I'd love to get rid of him. But now Arizona's going to be paying him, at least for another season, with the Tommy John surgery. All right. It's Fast on 101 ESPN. So there's always what's ideal, and there's always what the reality of the situation is. Do the Cardinals need to establish their core this season? When we're talking about core, obviously we're talking about their core group of players. Every team has a core. You either have a championship core or you're trying to build a championship core. The Cardinals, do they need to establish a core this season? Ideally, yes. Ideally, you hope that the Cardinals can build a core that really comprises of Jordan Walker, Lars Nootbaar, I would put in there. Even though Brendan Donovan isn't necessarily a young player, I think you can add him. I don't know if that core also includes Nolan Gorman, but it certainly, it's got Mason Wynn. You hope that the emerging young talent becomes your core. In reality, that's not something that you can just force.
Right.
The Blues are kind of a perfect example of this, and I think we're going to get into this at some point later on today, so I'll just briefly mention this. But coming into this season, would we have liked the Blues to establish their core? Yeah, absolutely. Did we know before the Doug Armstrong was going to add Holloway and Broberg that the Blues core would also now include those two guys? No. Mm-hmm. So ideally, yes, you establish your core this year. You feel great about what you have in some of these young guys. So then you can add. In reality, if Lars Nootbaar doesn't stay healthy, if Jordan Walker doesn't take a significant step in his development, God forbid Mason Wynn takes a step back from what we saw last year, and Victor Scott doesn't do anything, you don't have a core. Or you have an aging core, which is kind of what you have right now.
I was just going to say, who do you believe right now is the Cardinals' core from positional players?
Arenado, Wilson Contreras, probably Brendan Donovan.
Yeah.
Like Alec Burleson had an excellent season last year. Nolan Gorman, everybody wants dead now. He's gone. Hey, don't be a Cardinal anymore. We're done with you. 2 years ago, though, he was a 2.4 WAR player. Mm-hmm. So he had one solid season, one rough season, and now we're done with him. Well, Alec Burleson has had one solid season, so we'll see with him. But I think your core right now consists of Arenado, Contreras, Donovan, and if you are going to expand it to pitchers, I know you said position players, but Sonny Gray, that's your core right now. Guys that may not be around a year from now.
Ryan Helsley, too.
And Ryan Helsley, who
might be
perfectly fits into what we're talking about.
Right.
So your current core, most of it, 3/4 of it might not be here for next season. Ideally, you establish the core. Realistically, I think it's the biggest question mark that this organization faces right now.
So I'd say the Blues added 1 to 3 new players, a part of their core. You just mentioned 2 of them, Philip Broberg, Dylan Holloway.
Yep.
I would throw Zach Bolduc in there based on what I've seen. Him being a young player, his expectations coming into this season, what we saw at the beginning of the season, and now what we're seeing now.
Okay, though, if I'm going to play devil's advocate for both of us, because I just said, yeah, sure, Zach Bolduc, but we're still only talking about one season, all right? So what's the maybe we should define this.
Okay.
Do you establish a core after just one season? Do you feel good about that? Like Holloway and Broberg different. We saw the talent in Edmonton as well.
Yeah.
So is somebody like Bolduc still on the hope? I hope he's part of the core.
I watched the way that he's playing hockey. I don't think you just lose that. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that he is a part of the core. Like, he was, a pretty highly touted guy coming into this season. There's a reason why he made the team. I think he's a part of it. I really do. So, for me, there's 1 to 3 guys right there. When we look at the Cardinals, who are those 1 to 3 guys that emerge this season? Not who you want them to be, because I think we would both say Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman. I don't know what your confidence level is in both of them or each one of them, but who do you believe will be the 1 to 3 guys that emerges a part of the Cardinals core at the end of the season?
I don't know. That's part of the problem.
That's not great.
That's part of the problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, let's go back to Gorman. We talk a lot about, Gorman, I saw that Ryan from the Snake Pit yesterday was talking about Nolan Gorman. Well, he had his chance last year. He had 400 and something at bats. He had his chance, or plate appearance, I should say. That's it. We've seen it. We know what he is. So do you erase the good year? Because that's what you're doing. The last thing I saw wasn't good, so I know he's done now. We also, in the same breath, talk about how the Cardinals suck from a development standpoint. This organization does not develop young players. Mm-hmm. So we're willing to write off Gorman in the same breath as saying he's a young player, he hasn't developed, and oh, by the way, the organization stinks at developing young players. Well, how can you say definitively then that Gorman is done? Mm-hmm. And maybe Ryan, everybody else that doesn't have any faith in Gorman, maybe they are right. I'm somewhere in between. I think Gorman may wind up being an Adam Dunn.
Yeah.
Somebody that's just a big home run donkey, and exactly what he is. You're okay with that guy at 28, 29, and 30. You're not okay with that guy at 23, 24, 25. That's really the difference. If I say to you, Nolan Gorman's Adam Dunn, where do you have him in the lineup? Do you have him in the lineup?
I think it depends on the other players. That's why the way that I feel right now, I don't need Nolan Gorman in my lineup until somebody gives me a reason to put him in the lineup. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's him. Maybe he comes off the bench and he gets a few starts at the beginning of the year and he is on fire. Then, yeah, he deserves to play. But if they're playing good baseball at the beginning of the year and there's no reason to put him in, there's other people in this organization, other players besides Nolan Gorman that can play baseball. Mm-hmm. I will also want to have questions answered on them too. You just nailed it. Thomas Ajayce falls into that category. I think people are excited to see Thomas Ajayce. Yeah.
But you got to kind of weed through everything else before Thomas Ajayce even has his opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. That, I think, is one of the biggest issues. The Cardinals continue to look at players, and they just don't know. We need more time. We need more time to evaluate. I hope that when Bloom takes over, that process gets expedited a little bit. Like, you have to be able to know. I know what this player is. I know that Gorman is Adam Dunn. If he hits 8th, cool. If he hits 4th, we're screwed. And then move on.
Right.
Appropriate value for that player. Same thing with Jordan Walker. Same thing with Thomas Ajayce. Same thing with Victor Scott and Siani and whoever.
I think the Cardinals have too many guys that fall into the category of, I can see it. Like, I see it. I think they could be really good ball players.
I just haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it consistently.
Right.
And I don't know if we will see it, but I also don't want to give up on this guy because if he does find it, we have another problem on our hands. There's too many of those guys right now. And hopefully this season, they'll find some of those answers.
Sure. Well, regular listeners know that I've said this a lot. Can you eliminate some of the questions in the offseason? And the Cardinals rarely do.
I think they added more questions.
They probably did. They didn't do a damn thing in the offseason, still wound up with more question marks.
Yeah.
So, will they establish a core? I hope so. But that remains to be seen. And I don't mean to duck your question earlier. I think it's a great one. I don't know if this is going to be Jordan Walker. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's going to be Mason Wynn or Victor Scott, whoever. The person obviously I feel great about is Mason Wynn, but that's easy to say because you just saw it. But do they need to establish a core? At some point, sure. Will they be able to do it after this year? I don't know. Marsh has got what's trending for us next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues take care of business last night on home ice against the Montreal Canadiens. 6-1 the final. The Blues sit in that second wild card spot, 4 points ahead of the Calgary Flames, who do have 3 games in hand, by the way. But the Blues are now 2 points behind the Minnesota Wild for that first wild card spot. The Blues will take on the Nashville Predators tomorrow. You can listen to that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. We'll talk with Battlehawks head coach Anthony Becht at 4:30 and Brad Thompson at 5:15. So stay tuned for that. But coming up next, we're going to dive into what's trending. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
What are the hot topics in the sports world?
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
It's time to find out with
What's Trending? Brought to you by Elite Comfort Experts. Heating and cooling with no gimmicks, just guarantees. EliteComfortExperts.com.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN with Anthony Stalter. I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Anthony, of course, the month of March is the best month because all 4 of our birthdays occur in this month.
Yes, sir.
And I got a birthday present from Gator and the Snake Pit. It's something that was stolen from me when I went to a Cardinals game last season. Or maybe it was 2 seasons ago. I can't remember at this point.
I think it was last year.
Maybe it was last year. This Adam Wainwright puzzle.
Yes.
Adam Wainwright puzzle from Gator in the Snake Pit. So I want to say thank you for this awesome gift. And you guys keep being awesome.
That was very nice of Gator. Your birthday was March 19th, of course.
Yes.
Carey Davis, his birthday is the 27th. So tomorrow, we'll celebrate Carey Davis's birthday.
Yes.
Without him.
Without him, of course.
Yeah.
And I apologize because you texted me on my birthday.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I
was in Florida.
completely forgot to respond.
That's okay.
Until, what was it, Monday?
It was yesterday after I said, hey,
Yeah.
you know, I texted you for your birthday. I even called you a name.
Yeah, you did. It was a good name.
Yeah, and nothing. No response.
Yeah.
But, in typical Marsh fashion, you still got back to me. Now, you got back to me like 30 seconds after I told you.
For sure.
That you never responded to the text. But nonetheless, you responded with the thank you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got it, mixed in with all the other people texting. Do you ever get anxiety when it's your birthday and someone like replies to you on Facebook? There's like a bunch of people that reply on Facebook. You're like, oh man, I gotta go
respond to these.
It sounds terrible.
This is my problem, right? Like I just responded to somebody on the text line. That might be my first response on the text. And I had just been walking back. It was on Carey's computer because the text line's up. And I just read a comment. I'm like, oh, that was a good point. And I said, hey, good point. AS. That was probably like one of the only times I've ever responded on the text line. But that's my problem. I feel as though that I need to respond to everybody. Mm-hmm. If you're being an absolute jerk, I feel like I need to respond to you. If you're being the kindest human being in the world, I feel like I got to respond to you. You're somewhere in the middle, I got to respond to you.
Yeah.
So yes, I do. I have like that anxiety when it comes to the birthday.
We get a text from the 636. We love a good rumor. We know the text line is gospel, of course, right? The 636 says there is a rumor going around that Aaron Rodgers is going to announce he is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers when he makes an appearance on the Pat McAfee show in Pittsburgh on April 9th. What are your thoughts? Do you believe this rumor that the 636 has brought up?
Well, I don't know where else Aaron Rodgers is going to go at this point. That would be the best option, right? That's it. Because you're not going to go to Tennessee, because Tennessee could draft its franchise quarterback. What other spot do you have a clear path of starting, if not Pittsburgh? So, yeah, I am buying the rumor. And Justina Anderson reporting that Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith had a good vibe during Rodgers' visit with the team.
I wonder what vibe that would be.
Probably likes FedEx or something. I don't know. Because I think his Arthur Smith's dad, it was FedEx, right? It wasn't UPS.
I think it was FedEx.
It's FedEx. Yeah, his dad owned FedEx. He was the creator of FedEx. So I'm sure Aaron Rodgers just sat down with a big old FedEx tape and just wrapped himself in it.
Do you think that this is going to make the Steelers a good team?
No. The Steelers continue to be that team that has damn near everything except for the one thing that they should have, like the most important thing, right? Good defense.
Yeah.
The wide receivers. I mean, the Steelers have been one of the best teams when it comes to drafting wide receivers, like in the last 3 decades. Offensive line has typically been good, but since Big Ben retired, they haven't figured out the quarterback spot. That's not all their fault either. Because when you're finishing middle of the pack or you're a playoff team, you're not gonna get the top guys. Obviously, they've also never packaged enough to say, you know what, we have to have the franchise quarterback. We fell in love with the QB. We're gonna risk a lot, but we're gonna get a franchise quarterback out of it. They haven't been that team. The Rams did. I hate to say it, but the Rams did.
Yeah,
they went up and got Jared Goff. Went to a Super Bowl. And used Jared Goff as part of the Matthew Stafford trade to win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. At some point, you got to risk it when you're constantly in the middle.
I also think that it makes Mike Tomlin look that much better of a head coach, that somehow he continues to have 500 and above seasons with this team.
Yeah.
Granted, like you just mentioned, the defense is good, but every time I go into the next football season, I never have the Steelers as a playoff team.
Right.
At least since Big Ben retired.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why you would, quite frankly. The last couple of years, you circle them and say, I don't see it. I did the same thing last year. I think you did too. I don't see it.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. But if 2 years ago, if Joe Burrow were healthy, I don't think the Steelers wind up having the season that they had. Mm-hmm. Last season, if the Bengals had any resemblance of a defense, I don't think the Steelers make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I think they're also a product of the division that they play in.
Yeah,
like the Cardinals. That was a shot. I don't think that was necessary. There's a lot of truth to it, Marsh, but I don't know if it was completely necessary.
Yeah.
I did it anyways. Let's talk about let's also discuss the other big comparison with the Steelers and the Cardinals. Part of it I just mentioned, but there is another relation to the Cardinals. We'll get into that next on 101 ESPN. Baseball season starts tomorrow, and you can make opening day as well as every game that much more exciting with my friends at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is available now in our state, and Underdog allows you to play for as low as $1 and win up to $1,000 just with your baseball knowledge. What I'm talking about that is, tomorrow the Cardinals will take on the Twins. Maybe there's certain players that you like to go higher on strikeouts or lower on hits. It's up to you how you want to build your pick card, your player card, but you can also play at Underdog and combine those baseball picks with some hockey picks or some basketball picks. Tomorrow the Sweet 16 starts again. You can play Underdog Fantasy, combine different sports, different players from different sports, build your card, and win a ton of money in the process. And if you download the Underdog app, sign up using my promo code Anthony to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun with my promo code, which is Anthony, just my first name, and then you can claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Sharp of Sharp Football tweeted this out. He said, show me a team that has no clue what it's doing at the most important position in football, and then went on to list the Steelers quarterback depth chart over the last couple of years. 2023, they had Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph. Woof. 2024, last season, they had Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen. Yeah. And in 2025, as of right now, Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. 100% QB room turnover each year is what Warren Sharp tweeted. And we just got done talking about Aaron Rodgers potentially joining that quarterback room as well. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Andrew Marsh, Anthony Stalter. No Jamie, no Carey today. Jamie traveling, Carey on vacation. But Marsh, we drew comparisons between the Steelers and the Cardinals. Now, this isn't a hatchet job on either team. The Steelers under Mike Tomlin have not had a losing record. Under Mike Tomlin, they have not had a losing record. With the Cardinals, as much as we bitch and moan about the Cardinals, they have had a long track record of success, even under Mo. Now, the last 5 or so years have been frustrating, yes, but nonetheless, we've been mostly, and the Steelers fans can say this too, we've been mostly pleased with the competitiveness of our team. Mm-hmm. I do think there is one big comparison here, and Warren Sharp, he nails it with a team that has no clue what it's doing in its most important position in football. I don't necessarily think it's all the Steelers' fault, though. Big Ben retires. As we mentioned, you don't have a losing season. Where does that put you in the draft each year?
The middle.
You're anywhere between 17 and 20-something, right? Mm-hmm. Not a lot of quarterbacks are falling to you. Yes, they pass on Lamar Jackson. There's always going to be an exception to the rule. But the Steelers have not turned the page successfully since Big Ben, because they haven't found the quarterback, the new franchise quarterback, to usher in a new era.
Yeah, I would say that they haven't prepared well for the end of Big Ben's career. And now they're feeling the effects of that.
Certainly. If you compare that to the Packers, who knew Brett Favre at some point in the near future was going to fall off. They didn't know when, of course. But they fell in love with Aaron Rodgers. He fell to them. They took him. A lot of scrutiny, too, with that. Mm-hmm. Worked out quite well. Then Aaron Rodgers, at some point, toward the end of his career, they fell in love with Jordan Love. They felt him. They took him. Even more scrutiny. But this is a team that prepared for the inevitable outcome, right? Mm-hmm. The inevitable future. Here's the comparison to the Cardinals. While I don't blame the Steelers flat out like you made mistakes, they didn't prepare for the QB spot, similar to the Cardinals not preparing for the inevitable breakdown of the starting pitching. Mm-hmm. I will maintain, and people know this, I've been redundant with this. I apologize for being redundant, but I will always maintain that the biggest misstep that Mo made was not the Matt Carpenter deal, the second contract, because the first contract was incredible based on the value that they got out of Carpenter. It was not the Randy Arozarena trade. It was hands down the deal for Marcell Ozuna. Mm-hmm. I'm not being hypocritical here. I did not sit on these airwaves and say, they made a mistake. They just gave up Sandy Alcantara and Zach Gallen. Those two guys are going to be either Cy Young winners or future Cy Young contenders. Shame on them. I won't be hypocritical. I like the deal. I like the deal for the same reason a lot of Cardinals fans like the deal. Your offense sucked.
Yeah.
You weren't developing, since Pujols moved on, you weren't developing middle-of-the-order bats. Steven Piscotty and Randall Grichuk weren't going to do it.
Right.
They weren't going to do it for you. This organization continuously failed to develop position player talent.
And they thought that they had the right guys in place for their future rotation.
Which is the thing that Carey has brought up a lot. Mm-hmm. You're right. And some of those guys got hurt. So I don't blame, just like the Steelers, it's not all the Cardinals' fault. They tried to make the organization better. But Marsh, I can pinpoint that trade for the demise that we see now. Mm-hmm. I was on The Athletic earlier. Do you know where the Cardinals, and this is just one publication, okay? But I don't think that there's going to be big discrepancies if we look elsewhere. Do you know where the Cardinals rank 1 through 30 in starting staff in Major League Baseball heading into the season, where they would rank for their starting staff in Major League Baseball? All 30 MLB teams ranked. Do you have an idea where they could be ranked?
So based on all of the projections from different writers where they're putting this team, it's somewhere in the 20 to 30 range. I would have to imagine that the rotation is also in that range, if not 25 to 30.
You nailed it. You split the difference between 20 and 30. They're 25. They're 25th. Not surprising. Their rotation right now is Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty, Miles Michaelis, Andre Palante, and Matthew Liberatore, with Steven Matz and Michael McGreevy as the 6-7 guys. 25th in Major League Baseball. Not surprising. But when you take a step back and also say, whose company are they in? They're in the same company as the A's, the Rockies, the Nationals, the Angels, and the White Sox. That's 25 through 30. If you're in that same, if you're holding that company, you need to get out of that room.
It's not great.
No. I pinpoint that deal when everything went south. I don't blame the Cardinals for trying to match up Goldschmidt with somebody else in the middle of their lineup. Hell, they made the NLCS in 2019. But in 2019, they lost to a Washington Nationals team that had struggled to find offense throughout the course of the year, got healthy, and won a World Series. Why? Starting pitching. Some they developed, some they signed. If this organization, my big point here, Marsh, is just like the Steelers, if they don't figure out the franchise QB, they're going to continue to either remain in NFL purgatory or worse, they could fall apart because some of the other aspects of the roster could fall apart. If the Cardinals do not get back on track with developing homegrown pitching talent and having a surplus ready to go, just like they did in their heyday, this organization will not turn the page.
I do think the difference, however, at least right now, we have not seen what the Steelers plan to do at the draft or who could fall to them quarterback-wise. I do think the Cardinals are in a good spot with some of their young pitching. We're seeing that right now in Memphis. I have a lot of faith in those guys to help this team turn the page. I think the Cardinals are set up good right now.
Yeah.
Now those guys got to go out and execute to their ability. We have also seen some other highly touted players in this organization maybe not live up to expectations. Hopefully the pitching's different for the Cardinals, though.
Sure.
But I do think right now they're getting back to that. We just haven't seen it at the major league level yet.
I hope so. I've seen teams win World Series based on homegrown pitching. The majority of their rotation was homegrown. And then at the deadline, they figured out what they needed and added it.
The Giants come to mind.
The Giants are the perfect example. 2010. We had the Madison Bumgarner that you were trying to figure out when Bumgarner entered the league.
Yeah.
You know, based on his age and all that, you figured 2014, it was 2010. Bumgarner was 19. It was Lincecum, Kane, Bumgarner, and Jonathan Sanchez, who was a homegrown pitcher. Years later, they added like Jake Peavy, and Bumgarner obviously became one of the best pitchers in baseball and a legendary postseason pitcher. But homegrown pitching talent, not only in the staff, but also in their bullpen too. That is what I'm excited about. If Bloom can get this thing turned around, it's not necessarily some of the young position players that they have. I think it's harder to develop those guys. I'd actually be more. I would be more in the camp of we're going to sell out for pitching, and we'll add the position players through trades and through signings.
I agree.
I'd be completely fine with that.
As long as they're the right people, though, and not the Dexter Fowlers of the world.
Correct. Where you're spending, hey, you want 5 years, even though you got about 2 years left? Throw a lot of money at you because you're the top center fielder on the list. How tough is it to slow down a team that has confidence and identity? Well, some teams in the National Hockey League are about to find that out with the Blues. It's next on 101 ESPN. I love Mentality. I love the program. I love the people. Jamie Rivers and I go to Mentality at least once a week. We're on their program. And what Mentality is if you're experiencing low energy, fatigue, weight gain, muscle loss, you just can't get yourself into the gym. And when you do go into the gym, maybe you throw around the weights for a little bit and you're like, man, I don't have it anymore. If that's fine with you, that's okay, great. No problem, right? But if you're somebody like Jamie and I where you want to push the boundaries of your age, he's 50, I'm in my early 40s, then head down to Mentality. You can also visit them at lowtusa.com. But Mentality, if you're dealing with low testosterone and some of the symptoms I mentioned before with the fatigue and the energy, the low energy, mood swings, irritability, these are all signs of low testosterone. If you're dealing with low T, and you head down to Mentality, and they draw your blood. It's a simple process. They find out that it is low testosterone. You're not dealing with something else. And by the way, if they figure out something else, man, they can get you to your doctor and everything and say, hey, here's some results, which is another added benefit of going through Mentality. But if you are low in testosterone and you start that process, you start their program, within weeks is when I felt it. Jamie, same deal. All of a sudden, it's like, man, I got a little more energy right now, especially on weekends. I got 3 young kids, running around a lot. The schedule's busy for my wife and I discovered on the weekends, I'm like, man, I got more energy today. I'm good. I'm going to hang outside with the kids a little bit longer. I'm going to, do something around the house a little bit longer. Mentality helps with all that, plus that focus, plus that mood stabilization. I love Mentality. You will too. lowtusa.com. Visit Mentality, one of the 2 locations, either in Chesterfield or in South County. Tell them Jamie and Anthony sent you. Mentality.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing really confident right now. I think, we just got a recipe that works and, a game plan that everybody believes in. And, guys are playing for each other, and it's a good vibe in here for sure.
Starts with the belief in this group, just believing in the process and each other, out there. And I think it also starts with a lot of hard work.
Some of the players discussing the success that the Blues are having right now, and boy, the Blues have been on fire. 3:05, your time check brought to you by Collection Jewelers and the officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. The Blues won their 7th straight game last night, and they did so in convincing fashion over the Canadians 6-1. Wish it was only 5-1, Marsh, I'll be honest. We had bet the board going on. I had the over. I cashed on the 5-1. But you, in the third period, had over 1.5 goals. So you cashed in on that late power play goal. So was it a power play goal? Am I remembering that correctly?
I believe so.
I think it was. Anyways, you scored. I didn't like that. But the Blues right now are one of, if not the hottest teams in the National Hockey League based on play, win streak, or otherwise. You posed kind of an interesting question for us coming into the show. You said, are you taking a team who has been hot, or are you going with the group who has done it all year long? I'd rather have the hot team. I'd rather have a team that hasn't been waiting for the postseason since the middle of the season.
Right.
The advantage, of course, is that you probably have the best talent. But there's something to catching fire at the right time. It doesn't always work out that way. It's not like, hey, hottest team wins. But the majority of the time in Major League Baseball and hockey, I've seen this more so than any other league. If you have the hot team going into the postseason, typically you do well. Phillies, when they beat the Cardinals, unfortunately, and made it to the World Series and lost, they limped in.
Right.
So that is one of those exceptions. But we talked about the Ryan Miller Blues, quote unquote, the Ryan Miller Blues, when they're dreadful for 2 weeks going into the postseason. And you just had this feeling that this team didn't have confidence. They weren't buying into their identity. And they lost. They lost in the first round to the Blackhawks.
And to your point about the Phillies, I think the Cardinals gave them the confidence that they needed, because that first game, the Phillies had nothing.
No.
Until that 9th inning.
You're right. That's a good point.
And then they're like, oh, man, our offense, we could go 8 innings and not score anything, but this offense, when we come alive, we're scary.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they took off and went to the World Series.
So I'd rather have the hot, confident team going into the postseason. And I ran into our big boss, John Kiowski, in the hallway, and he goes, are they going to break our hearts again?
Oh, Anthony.
And I said, I don't think so. He goes, I don't either. This team has the vibe right now.
For sure.
The way that they played last night, I mean, Marsh, you could talk to this. You can speak to this better than I can. But the way that the passing last night, how crisp it was, how fluid it was, not fast lane fluid, but actual fluid.
Yeah.
It was impressive. And when teams are firing in all cylinders, that's typically how it looks. The passing's crisp, it's fast. The players aren't necessarily any faster. The play is faster.
They feel fast, though.
They feel fast.
I'm watching the game, I'm like, man, is there something wrong with my TV, or is this team flying all over the place?
Talk about that one play you loved.
The play in the second period with Toropchenko got the puck on the far side blue line and drove the net. Almost scored. It was a great save by Montembeault to get that pad on there. But it was a snap right up the ice, fed it over to Fowler. Fowler skates up, activates, and then it was a one-touch pass to Toropchenko, who had speed going into the zone. I'm like, where did this come from?
Right.
They look like a complete different team, but they're playing with a ton of confidence, and they have structure to their game. They're playing like a playoff team.
Yeah.
This looks like playoff hockey. They are not giving a single inch to any of these teams. And when they come out of the gates, they are flying out there.
Yep.
Like, Montreal had nothing in that first period other than that goal they scored, but what happens seconds later, the Blues respond.
Yeah.
And it was game over after that.
And they had some big saves, too, in that first period, or else I think the whole game, the Blues could have scored 10 last night.
100%.
They could have scored 10 goals last night. The saves were remarkable, and they were still beating Montague there to the glove side consistently. Consistently they were. That was fun to watch last night. The other, I think, exciting aspect of this Blues team, they're not only confident, they do have experience too.
They do.
Robert Thomas was a part of the Cup team. There's several players. Obviously, Binnington, part of the Cup team. They've had guys that were here in 2019. They also, in some of their young players like Broberg and Holloway, two guys that did what? Played in the Stanley Cup last year. So if you have like confident experience, if you had to choose one of the two, well, confidence I think is more important in the short term. If you have a team that's confident, they believe in their abilities, they can stay positive under pressure, they play with the mindset that they can win. But if you don't have that experience to fall back on, I think over the long haul, it winds up being an issue. But I think this team actually has both. I think they have confidence right now, and they have enough experience that if and when they make the playoffs, they can lean on that experience.
And you always talk about identity. When we talk about the Cardinals, what is your identity? How are you going to win and lose baseball games? Well, the Blues are finding out right now, this is how we win hockey games. They know their identity. And another question that I had for you, what is the most important aspect of that? Is it confidence or is it having an identity? And does one lead to the other? Do you need to have an identity before you build that confidence and start winning games? Or do you have to have the confidence which leads to your identity?
You beat me to it with that second part. That second part is yes. If you have an identity, you can play confident. If you have an identity, it means you know what the team is asking you to do, whatever the sport is. We didn't even talk about this from a work standpoint. Anybody listening now, us here, if you know what is being asked of you, you can play up to your full potential. I know the job. I know the material. I know what's being asked of me. As a student, because I never studied, I was horrible at test taking. I did not know the material. I did not know what was being asked of me, and I failed repeatedly, which is why I'm doing sports radio right now with you, Marsh. You're a different story, okay? You were successful in school, and you're still successful. Me, I'm just talking about me.
I think you're making that up.
I was a disaster in school. But when it comes,
I also had test anxiety because I also
makes sense.
Never studied. So thank you for your compliment, but you're completely off base.
I figured as much since you and I are on the radio together. But when you're in your job and your boss is like, I believe in you. Here's what I need you to do. I believe you can do it. Go do it. It's different than here's here's a word salad. I'm not confident what I'm doing. Therefore, I can't ask you to do something I don't know, but do it. You feel good?
No.
So I think when you have an identity as a team, you know what your role is. Then I think the confidence comes out of that. You got to win too.
100%.
You have to win. B from the Snake Pit brought up a great point. B was like, remember 3 weeks ago we were wondering if this team would even win 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Now we won 7.
I have that. I'm like Shorzy. This team will never lose again.
Right.
I have that feeling. Now, hopefully I don't jinx them.
Hopefully you just didn't jinx them. Yeah, we got the Predators coming up here tomorrow.
Well, we'll just blame BK, but
that's true. That poor guy put on that conductor hat. Yeah. We flamed him, and then we don't even circle back and say, you know what, he wasn't wrong.
Yeah. No, the team's actually been fantastic since the BKO.
That's hilarious. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. What is and I would love to hear whether you want to leave us a mic drop or text us at 314-399-9646 or shout out to our Snake Pit, which is our 101 ESPN YouTube channel. You can, always active in the Snake Pit. I'd love to know what your thought is on this. What is your quote, unquote, gotta see it from the 2025 season for the Cardinals? For example, I got to see Jordan Montgomery. I mean, it's in my head now. I got to see Jordan Walker have a big season. So what's your got to see it for the 2025 season? That's next on 101 ESPN. right, so we're already getting some great thoughts on our next segment. What is your gotta see it for the 2025 season? You can text us, 314-399-9646. It's the Air Comfort Service text line. Ryan also commented in the Snake Pit. He said the youth movement, 100%. Who is Burley? Does Wynn push through this sophomore slump? And who is our catcher? Is it Herrera? And do we just, or is it Herrera and we do just the opposite of Yachty and hope he turns into a great defensive catcher? So obviously Yachty came up as a great defensive catcher. You're like, hey, whatever you get out of him offensively, great. But Yachty eventually developed into a quality hitter as well. So Ryan's saying, what about the opposite? Herrera is coming up as an offensive catcher, and he winds up turning into a decent defensive catcher.
I like that. I like the thought process.
Sure.
Will it happen? Who knows? But it's a little bit of optimism. Yeah. Optimism, right?
Splashback Deuce, always fantastic in the Snake Pit. He hadn't remarked yet to the Cardinals thing, but he goes, I'd call the Montreal goaltender Montague. He goes, Montague, the Blues Capuletted his ass. Splashback Deuce says the Blues have won in spite of the BKO on Parayko. That's a good call.
That's when you know you got a good team.
Yeah. To overcome a BKO like that. Yep. Yeah. All right. So if you want to chime in as well, Marsh, what's your got to see for the Cardinals in 2025?
So I have a few. I put on this sheet, and you mentioned Jordan Walker. I got to see Jordan Walker elevate the ball more. I think that will produce results, the results that we want to see.
If Carey were here, he'd get mad at you.
Why?
But I know what you're talking about. Well, because a lot of people feel as though that the Cardinals sending down, you mentioned Walker, right?
Right.
So sending down Walker was all about launch angles, all about like dipping your back shoulder and all that. That's not what you're talking about.
That's not what I mean. Mm-hmm. You can still have an approach in the way that you go about it and still elevate the baseball.
Correct.
You don't have to go into this whole launch angle and dip your shoulder and, swing upwards and stuff to have the ball fly off your back.
Correct. Launch angle is it's physics. It's not what you're technically doing by dipping. You don't want to dip your shoulder. That creates a loop in your swing, and the ball. There's too many holes there in your swing. So I understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Elevate a little bit more. If you're a doubles hitter, you can be a home run hitter
for sure.
You just listen, I'm going to go up there. McGuire is like, I'm just thinking double, and wound up crushing home runs.
And that's where I want Jordan Walker to start. Like, don't go up there thinking you're going to hit a home run every time.
Yeah,
because then you're swinging for the fences, you're swinging at sliders, you're swinging at bad pitches.
Right.
Just go up there, think double, think where you want to hit the ball, and then home runs will come. Mm-hmm. My other one is an uptick in runners in scoring position. Having success with runners in scoring position, the thing that this team has struggled with over the past few years.
Yeah.
That's a huge one for me.
I like that one a lot. Mine, I always preach pitching, so I'll stick with that. I have got to see some sort of future with this rotation. I have got to see Michael McGreevy or Matthew Liberatore, one of these young guys, by the end of the season, we're all like, yeah, all right, got him for the next. We have him. We can write him in pen for next year's rotation.
We got a text from the 636 that plays off of what you just said. I got to see Matthew Liberatore figure it out as a starter and make it through an entire season without being relegated to the pen. I think his velo played so much better as a reliever, but I want to see him find a groove and stick with it.
Nailed it. I love that text. I completely agree with you. And I can't wait to have Brad Thompson on the show a little bit later on. Obviously, BT World Series champion, part of the FanDuel Sports Network broadcast for the Cardinals. He's going to join us for weekly hits on Wednesdays starting today. And he's going to join us at 5:15. I can't wait to ask him about Liberatore. Has anything changed? Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued. Matthew Liberatore wants the number one left-hander out of the Tampa Bay Rays organization, an organization that, up until the last 2 years, consistently turned out really excellent young players.
We got another one from the 314 in regards to pitching. I got to see the young pitching perform up to expectations. If they don't have that, nothing else matters.
Agreed. Schoolboy Rowe says, got to see it. Less K's from Gorman. Jason Gordon responded, with less playing time comes less Ks for Gorman. Very true. At some point, I think that and I don't know if we're there yet, and I think this is going to tick off some people. I'll say it anyways. I think at some point we just have to accept what Gorman is and what he isn't. And Gorman has one really big weapon in his arsenal, which is obviously the power. But you may have to take the strikeouts with the power. And are you willing to do so? Because sometimes we're willing to say, okay, hey, this is just a defender. Like we did this with Victor Scott. And we did this with Mason Wynn the start of last year. Mason Wynn, for right now, just be a great defender. Mm-hmm. And then he wound up being a leadoff hitter. And we kind of threw that expectation out of the way, or out the window. At what point do we say, hey, just hit power, just hit for homer, just hit homers? We didn't ask Mason Wynn to be a complete player.
Do you want to tell a player that though?
No.
Go up there and just hit home runs?
Nope. You're for us. I'm just talking about for us. This is for fans and expectations and for the love of the game and just like talking about it. No, if you're the organization, no, you're not saying, hey, just hit home runs. You want to develop that player. You should be trying to develop that player into a complete player. But at some point, as fans, we may just have to say, look, this is what he is.
We get one from Riverboat Ron. Gotta see it. Stealing bases, going first to third, etc. Use the youngster's speed. Can you say Whitey ball? ? I don't know if this team profiles as like Whitey ball. I don't know if you can replicate that.
Right.
But how about fun baseball?
I wouldn't mind seeing a version of Whitey ball.
I wouldn't either.
Just purely from the standpoint of I would love to see an identity, a freaking identity. But I understand what you're saying in that I don't know if this team can do it.
Right.
You do have some semblance of it, but
you do have to get on base, which I think nice. This team could,
Chester, our guy Chester, /Scotty, /Brendan, Donovan /Stevie. He goes, Anthony, I want to see a set lineup for the Cardinals for a week. Make up your mind, stick with it. Waterboy says, if Gorman was a DH for 162 games in the season, do you think he could have a 50 home run season? I don't know if he could hit 50.
50?
But if he's a DH for 100, it's a really interesting question that Waterboy poses. If Gorman simply was a DH for 162 games, and let's just say he's slotted at 7th or 8th in the lineup, how many home runs do you think Gorman hits? Now, he's going to have probably 1 trillion strikeouts, but how many home runs?
34.
Only 34 over 162?
What version of Nolan Gorman are you getting?
Nolan Gorman.
Okay.
Who he is.
I don't want to say 50 because I haven't even seen him hit 40.
But we're talking about 162 games. Project a little bit. Project on us, Marsh.
I don't know.
Forget 50. How about 40?
Maybe.
Do I hear 35?
30. Well, I had 34.
You had 34, so you're taking it.
I'll go 35.
Okay.
Is he staying healthy?
Yeah, he's only a DH.
You can still get injured.
No, it's impossible.
Being a DH, you have to run the bases.
Hey, you could jog when you hit home runs.
Jog back to the dugout, too, and strike out.
You can walk back to the dugout. There's less injury risk for that.
He is the most polarizing player heading into this season, in my opinion.
It's funny, too, because I feel like I've become an apologist now for Nolan Gorman. To me, I feel like we're often short-sighted with a player like Gorman because we want him gone, done, we're done with you. Yet if we were to say he does something really well, but you also have to take this bad, we're willing to do that with other players. Hell, some people are willing to say, hey, as long as you hit, I don't care what you do defensively.
Yeah.
We're willing to say that. Yet, no, Nolan Gorman, you have to be a complete player. Like, we pick and choose the players that we want to be complete and the ones we're willing to accept their faults.
But
it's interesting to me.
Does he have the luxury of doing that with the amount of players that are, vying for playing time on this team?
I don't mean to be rude when I say this, but, this team isn't good. You know what I mean?
Not yet.
I feel like he's blocked by all these great players.
Well, think about it. Like, he's not even the best second baseman on the team.
No, it's Brendan Donovan.
Right? So look at the catching position because you just brought it up.
Yeah.
Ivan Herrera. Pedro Pajes?
Well, the best catchers, you know that I've said this.
Yeah, it's Wilson Contreras.
It's Wilson Contreras.
That ain't happening.
Alec Burleson may lose playing time because they moved Wilson Contreras to first base. I'm sorry. I don't understand. I will never understand that. I just won't. You better, if Ivan Herrera turns into your franchise catcher this season, I will eat crow. I will eat crow on that. Mm-hmm. And if anybody has listened to me on these airwaves for 10 plus years, you know I'll eat crow on this. I still eat crow on Isaiah Peed. I said Isaiah Peed was going to be the starting running back for the Rams the one year.
Isaiah Fumble Peed?
He stunk. I'm still eating crow on that. I don't mind it. If Ivan Herrera becomes...
It's got to be a star for today. I'm already going to lock that in.
If Schoolboy Roas eat literal crow, you know. Fake crow. I will eat crow if Ivan Herrera becomes a franchise catcher on this whole Wilson Contreras. Otherwise, it's a dumb move to move him to first base. I'm sorry.
Well, at least this season you can figure that out, right? Because if his bat does play, maybe you move him to a different position.
Herrera?
Yeah.
So now we're moving him.
You have other catchers in the organization.
Where are you moving Herrera if Contreras is at first?
Anthony, I don't know. I'm not paid enough to make these decisions. We just talk about it.
Yeah.
And I don't envy anybody that's in this position right now. Although they put it on themselves.
I don't either. G-Dog asks, are you guys watching Supernatural during the breaks? Is that what's on right now on the TNT? Here's the problem with us. That third TV, if you're watching Marsh's camera, that third TV is a crapshoot. Because whatever somebody was watching last night is still on the TV because we rarely change it unless it's like a Cardinals game or something. So I don't know if that's Supernatural, that show. I've never seen it. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Sports Six Pack is next, 314-399-9646. If you got a question for us, we're going to do the Sports Six Pack next. So again, send it in to the Air Comfort Service text line. Marsh and I will answer your questions here in the Fastlane. I always hate when I was searching for a vehicle and I would find one online and then I'd actually go to the dealership and all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, no, that car, yeah. You're going to have to go to our other lot. It's, listen, just jump on the highway, drive 30 minutes. No, you drive 30 minutes. I'm not doing it. I'm going to drive to Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum because they've got over 800 new and used vehicles all in one location. So other dealerships might brag about having a huge inventory. Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum actually has a huge inventory all in one lot. Just visit them. They're minutes away from South County. No scavenger hunt required to find your next new vehicle. And forget overpaying. These vehicles are priced to move. Plus, on new Nissans, you get a complimentary lifetime warranty, as well as that 30-day return promise. That serious peace of mind you won't find anywhere else. Oh, and if your credit's seen better days, no problem. Auto Center's Nissan, they've got the credit experts, and they can help in any credit situation. So you got a bad credit situation, you're stuck in a current loan, they will still find a way to finance that vehicle for you. Tons of glowing reviews, can't be wrong. Check them out today or hit them up at AutoCentersNissan.com to browse that massive selection that they have down in Herculaneum. It's Auto Centers Nissan. Big inventory, bigger savings, zero nonsense.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues defeat the Montreal Canadiens last night by a final score of 6-1. They'll take on the Nashville Predators once again tomorrow night. And you can listen to that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. We'll talk with Battlehawks head coach Anthony Becht at 4:30 and our guy Brad Thompson at 5:15. So stay tuned for those interviews. But coming up next, we have our Sports Six-Pack. So get your questions into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. The Six-Pack is next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is now.
It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. If you have any questions for us, your Comfort Service text line is 314-399-9646. We got our Sports Six-Pack right now.
Question number 1.
All right, the 636 says, I'm going to opening day tomorrow, so I gotta know your choice of best food at Busch Stadium. I personally love the loaded nacho tater tots, but change my mind. What should I get tomorrow?
Oh, man, I don't know if I can change your mind on that. I do love those loaded tater tots. My word. One of my, obviously I like, just going out to the ballpark, certainly not going to not partake in a hot dog or two, but I will say this. One of my favorite things to get at Busch Stadium, I got to have Dippin' Dots.
Oh.
I know it's not something look.
What are you, 12?
I hear you. I do. That's fine. I'll take the shot. I'm confident enough to say this to you. I love Dippin' Dots. And my daughter, Madeline, loves the Dippin' Dots, too, so it winds up being our thing. So I hope you feel bad at what you just said.
How old is your daughter?
8. Go ahead. Ask me how old I am. It's fine.
How old are you going to be in the next few days?
43.
There you go.
43. So if you combine our ages together, I think it's Dippin' Dot appropriate.
I should ask, how young are you going to be? Why don't people say that? Not, how old are you? Oh, no, how young are you?
Right. That's a good question. But no, those loaded tater tots, what's better? Marsh, I feel like you're great with this.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
What's better than Dippin' Dots?
No, not Dippin' Dots. I realize I understand your standpoint on Dippin' Dots, okay? You made that abundantly clear. What I'm asking you is, I feel like you're somebody that goes down to Busch Stadium and you experience all that Busch Stadium has to offer. So when it comes to food down there, convince this fine person, this fine listener, that the loaded tater tots aren't the way to go.
Well, I've been steadfast on this, and I'm going to keep reiterating it. It's got to be the bacon-wrapped hot dog, the bacon-wrapped wiener.
Okay.
You can get that. The one that I go to is left field line, that entrance right outside Ballpark Village, not the one where we would go into 43 steps away from the ballpark, but it's the other one by Katie's Pizza, that side, left field. And then you go to the right, there is a team store to the right, and then to the left, there is the bacon-wrapped hot dogs.
Okay.
And I get those. You put all the different toppings on them, all the sauces.
All the fixins.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Okay.
And then you're sitting there in 100-degree heat.
Just putting a wiener in your mouth.
Putting a wiener in your mouth, and you're thinking, man, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
I got to get another beer, wash it down. But I only get the bacon-wrapped wiener. That's all I get.
Have you had the loaded tots?
No.
They're incredible.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I feel like you're thumbing your nose up to this as well.
I'm a brand loyal bacon-wrapped hot dog guy.
I don't know if that's brand loyal, but I feel that you're putting me down for the Dippin' Dots, and I feel like you're thumbing your nose up at the loaded tots as well.
Can I tell you a secret, Anthony?
You didn't think they had loaded tots. You didn't know.
No. I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here. I do remember about 3 or 4 years ago, I also dove into the Dippin' Dots.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I had
They're delicious.
The banana flavored one.
They're so good.
They are. Like, it's
I'm
not
talking
like
about the end of the game, all right? Like, you're not going there for the Dippin' Dots. You've got your hot dog, right? You got your bacon wrapped wiener. Yeah, you've got whatever, the loaded tots. You got a couple of beers. I'm talking about the end of the game. The end of the game. Game's wrapping up. You telling me you're not searching for some Dippin' Dots?
I will get Dippin' Dots if I walk by the Dippin' Dots kiosk or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. All right.
If it's there, I will think about it. But there also is a Ben & Jerry's at the ballpark, too.
It's weird. The only time I have Dippin' Dots is at the ballpark, which is strange.
Where else do they sell Dippin' Dots?
I don't know.
It's not like there's a store off Olive.
But they've got to have them. They got to have them at Dierberg's or something, right? Like they've got to have it
Yeah.
But I'm not getting Dippin' Dots out of a grocery store.
No.
I don't know why. It's probably the same exact Dippin' Dot. Just can't do it. Waterboy says Section 305 has the best food selection. Absolutely right.
For sure.
Yep.
It's going to be a bar whenever we get enough money to make it.
We just need, maybe a GoFundMe page or something like that. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Question number 2.
Anthony only gets tickets to the game so he can eat Dippin' Dots. It's partially true.
When Anthony gets tickets to the games, he gives them to me.
That's right. I have done that. Yeah. I have done that.
Yeah.
Well, you do a great job with the show, man. You should be rewarded.
Oh, well, thank you. That's why I got this Adam Wainwright puzzle.
Absolutely. We got to take care of you, man.
Well, thank you. All right, let's get to a Blues question from the 618. Are we not talking enough about the Blues goalie play? Yes, the team is overall playing great, which leads to good goalie play, but we forget that in the playoffs, Bennington is capable of stealing a game or a series. I think this team can go the distance with the way the overall play has been, and then if there is an off night or two, that's where Bennington can steal you a game you had no business winning.
Yeah. Excellent point. And I don't think we're overlooking it, but I also don't think, to the texter's point, that we can undersell that. Mm-hmm. Jordan Binnington reminded, and some of us didn't need the reminder, but, all of Canada did, apparently, that Jordan Binnington is a big game goalie. And the reason why Team Canada had him in place there and kept him in place is because they knew that he was going to stand on his head when the moment arose, when it was the biggest moment possible in that tournament. And he did. Jordan Binnington is capable of stealing a series in a postseason.
I don't think we've talked about him enough because of what the people in front of him are doing. Like, they're playing so differently than they did before. That Bennington is like, and even Joel Hofer, it's kind of been like the back seat. Not that they're playing fantastic. Like, look at their numbers.
Yeah.
They've been fantastic. But like, that hasn't been the story of this run, in my opinion, because they have been doing that large in part the entire year.
Sure.
Like, there are games that the Blues should not have won this season that they did because of the goaltending.
Right.
But now they're winning because of the guys in front of them as well. So I think we're looking at that more because we haven't seen it for a majority of the season, and now it's more of a story.
And let's keep in mind, to your point, Marshall, let's keep in mind that the reverse can happen too. We've seen that as well, where the play in front of Binnington has been atrocious at times, and he's had rough games because he's being hung out to dry, and people want to bark out the stats for him. It is a complete team effort when it comes to goal prevention.
Yeah, that's been their identity, I think. I mean, you could argue
6
they have
goals doesn't hurt either.
Well, that doesn't hurt at all. But like, I think good defense leads to offense.
Yeah.
When I think of defense, I just don't think of it being in your defensive zone. I'm thinking of the neutral zone.
Sure.
Keeping pucks alive in the offensive zone when a team's trying to break out, like the way that the Blues are structured they're creating turnovers. Like, that's a part of defense that leads to offense.
No doubt.
And for me, I don't think that Bennington and Hofer have been the main storyline, although they have been fantastic, and they have made huge saves. Don't get me wrong. Jordan Bennington made some big saves last night.
Yeah, he did.
You know, you mentioned the Blues could have had 10 goals. Well, Montreal could have had more than one goal last night, if not for Jordan Bennington.
No, certainly. You're absolutely
He made
right.
some great stops.
That's Andrew Marsh and Anthony Stalter. Part 2 of the Sports Six Pack is coming up, so if you want to text in any more questions, you can. Air Comfort Service text line is open, 314-399-9646. That's, again, our Air Comfort Service text line for the Sports Six Pack. Part 2, next.
time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is now.
It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Air Commerce Service tax line. We got part 2 of the Sports Six-Pack. Still plenty of time to get in some questions like this one.
Question number 3.
All right, we get an interesting one from the Water Boy with CD and Jamie Rivers away. Let's get honest. Which career would you have chosen to follow?
Wow. So, like, if we could have that career, whether it's Carey's career, win a Super Bowl win a Super Bowl with Steelers, but it's a shorter career overall, especially compared to Jamie's. Now, Jamie did win a Stanley Cup ring with the Red Wings. Died. He died on the ice in Croatia. Wow. Marsh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to wake up in a Croatian pet cemetery.
Yeah.
Cut open and look at a doctor that does not speak my native language.
Yeah.
Smoking a dart and trying to figure out how I got there. So I don't know if I want that.
So you're saying you take the Super Bowl?
I think I'd take the Super Bowl. Now, what I'm giving up is what Jamie had, which is a longer career.
Yeah.
And he played with absolute legends that he still considers friends or strong acquaintances.
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving up that. But I think I got to give up dying in a Croatian pet cemetery. What about you?
I think I'm going with Carey. Although, like, that's tough for me because I played hockey growing up. I did not play football, but
you become good friends with Tony Twist and Brett Hull. You get to know all the legendary, I know this is tough here, but let's just talk about it from a hockey standpoint. All the legendary Red Wing players that played in the 90s and played in the 2000s.
Man.
Waterboy said Rivers played on almost all the NHL teams as well.
He even played for the Atlanta Thrashers. They don't even exist anymore. They're the Winnipeg Jets now.
He played for the Phoenix Coyotes,
who are in Utah now.
Yes. Played for his hometown team. I mean, there's a lot to love about Jamie's career. I think it was
100%. I don't think you could go wrong with either one of them, but there's just something about the Super Bowl that is enticing me to pick Carey's career.
Mm-hmm. Plus, one of my favorite NFL players ever, the one that I just marvel at his career and his playing stature, was Troy Polamalu. So he would have been a teammate.
He would have been your teammate.
I think I got to go Carey's career. Now, Carey's got some issues too. Poor guy can barely walk now. You know, I mean, the poor guy's got knee issues. But I think I'm going him. Going Carey.
Yeah, I don't think you could go wrong with either one of them because, like you mentioned, Jamie was with the Red Wings when they won the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. So he got to experience that too. But I'm just putting myself in Carey's shoes in the AFC Championship game on a kickoff.
And he decleats that Raven.
And just blew that guy up. And then they went and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's just something about the Super Bowl, though. It's like, to me, it's the biggest game in North America.
Mm-hmm.
I think people would agree with that. I think the Stanley Cup is the coolest trophy and the hardest trophy to win.
That's fair.
But there's just something different about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion.
Droid FX says Carey no-showed Michigan. LOL. Now, I would have not done that. I would have shown up and I would have said, it's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. So, there's that.
Question number 4.
Speaking of football, from the 386, who will have more wins this upcoming season? The Cowboys, the Falcons, or the Vikings?
I will go with the Vikings. Out of those three teams, they have the most talent and they have the best coaching. They do not have, well, we don't know if they have the quarterback, but we do know that Kevin O'Connell has worked wonders with any QB that he has had. So I'm going to go that route. Dallas has top-end talent, like the top of the rosters. I mean, there's some dudes there. But the coaching staff, I think, will be one of the worst in NFL history.
Yeah. Are you saying that because their head coach used to be here in St. Louis?
As the OC for a very unproductive offense. And then went away for a while, bounced around a little bit, and somehow still became the Dallas Cowboys head coach. Like Brian Schottenheimer will be in the same hall at some point. Not the Hall of Fame, but a hallway.
Yeah.
With Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to happen. Here's our list. Please come to the Jerry World. Here's our hallway of head coaches. We're very proud of this. There's Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, Bill Parcells was once a Dallas Cowboy head coach. And, that Brian Schottenheimer.
Not Marty.
Not Marty, his father, who was highly underrated. But Brian Schottenheimer. You kidding me? So I'm gonna choose Marshy's Vikings.
What are your thoughts on, I know we've talked about this, but J.J. McCarthy, he was on Up and Adams with Kay Adams, and, I don't want to say what he said verbatim, but basically, the Vikings haven't named him the starting QB, QB1, and he's happy about that. He wants to earn that.
Sure.
Do you like that type of mentality from a young quarterback?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Even though, let's be honest, he'll probably be the starting guy.
He probably would be. But, yeah, what you're talking about, what you're referencing is mentality. Absolutely. Not mentality, but mentality. This kid won a national championship. He also, and I know that it was his head coach, but I don't think that Jim Harbaugh would just say this without meaning it. Jim Harbaugh knows quarterbacks, and he had nothing but high praise for J.J. McCarthy. Jim Harbaugh knows quarterbacks. He's worked with outstanding quarterbacks, and he hand-selected J.J. McCarthy, who eventually led Michigan to a national championship. I think J.J. McCarthy, if he can stay healthy, is going to be just fine, especially with Kevin O'Connell.
We have some people in the Air Comfort Service text line wanting us to add BT's career onto the Waterboys question.
Wow.
World Series champion.
World Series champion in 06.
Got to play with some of the best baseball minds that we've ever seen, especially here in St. Louis.
Yep. Was teammates with Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, Albert Pujols, through to Yadier Molina. Was managed by Tony La Russa. His pitching coach was the legendary Dave Duncan. Shorter career. Wound up with the Royals. Just not a good, not the 2015-16 Royals.
Not even this team.
Not even this team's Royals. Wow. I don't know. It's too close for me to call. Call up Marshy.
I mean, I would love to win a World Series. It'd be fun. But I got to stick with the Super Bowl. It's the biggest game in North America.
Yeah, I'll stick with the Super Bowl, too. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. I think I'm on next in the Gauntlet.
Yep.
Our guy.
Scotty.
Little shady.
Scotty too hotty.
Scotty seems like a really nice, we mentioned this yesterday, a really nice guy. And yet he still beat Marsh.
Something's up.
Something's up. We'll find out if I can get past him next on 101 ESPN.
warriors. 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you survive the gauntlet?
Brought to you by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection.
4:05, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter, and we are now joined once again by our guy, Scotty. What's up, Scotty?
What's going on, guys? Happy Wednesday. Oh.
Happy Wednesday to you as well. I don't know if you've heard us, Scotty, but we've been talking about how just you seem like a great guy, yet you beat Marsh. So we're really thrown off.
Squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, you know.
I don't know. I don't trust you right now. But again, you seem like a great human being. So, all right, Scotty, I'm going to get out of here because you just have me today. So you get a chance to tell Marsh to spin that wheel. But I'll get out right now.
All right. Good luck.
You too. Thank you.
All right, Scotty. Anthony is heading to the Cone of Silence. Tell me to spin that wheel, and we'll see what category you get today.
Marcy, spin that wheel.
All right, so yesterday, you beat me. Is there a specific category that you want or do not want today?
I'm not even a football fan, and somehow I pulled that out yesterday, so it doesn't really matter.
So yesterday...
I'm here for the fun.
You're here for the fun. Yesterday, you got football. Today, you got football again.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
This one might be a little bit more difficult because Anthony is the football guy, but we'll see how you do. You know the rules. For those that do not, both of you will get 4 questions. If you get the question right without using the options, you get 2 points. If you have to use the options and you get it correct, you get 1 point. And, of course, if you miss the question, you get 0. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. Who is the oldest individual ever to play cornerback in the NFL? That is cornerback, not quarterback.
I have no idea. I'll take the options.
All right, your options are Darryl Green, Fred Smoot, or Champ Bailey.
I don't know any of the 3. Let's go with C, final answer.
Champ Bailey?
Yes, sounds good.
All right, question number 2. On November 23rd, 1984, Doug Flutie heaved a Hail Mary touchdown pass to lift Boston College over what team?
Oh, my goodness. I can picture this, but I'm not a football person. Give me the options.
Options are Miami, Notre Dame, or Georgia Tech.
Miami, final answer.
Question number 3. Name the only quarterback since 1980 to throw more than 30 interceptions in an NFL season.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I just walked in my daughter's classroom. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, no worries at all. Name the only quarterback since 1980 to throw more than 30 interceptions in an NFL season.
I'll take the options again.
Options are Jameis Winston, Eli Manning, or Vinny Testaverde.
I was thinking Eli Manning. We'll go with Eli Manning. Final answer.
Final question. Can you tell us the pass blocking specialist who grew up in Germany and made 69 starts as a St. Louis Ram?
Again, no idea. Yesterday's were easier. What's the option?
All right, options are Adam Timmerman, Tom Newton, or Mike Grudadoria. Mike Grudadoria. So we have Adam Timmerman, Tom Newton, or Mike Grudadoria.
The only guy's name I know is the first one. Let's go with that finally.
Adam Timmerman. All right, let's get Anthony back in here from the Cone of Silence. I got to ask, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I just walked into my daughter's classroom to help her out with the dad's list, so I'm feeling great. Doesn't matter what happens.
I love that. He really is a great guy, Anthony. He really is. Unbelievable. All right, Anthony. Are you ready?
I don't know. I feel like that took a while, so I feel like that's like a random we got to ask for the options. What do we got?
Well, it's not random.
Okay.
It's football.
All right, let's do this.
Pack a lunch.
Oh.
Question number 1. Who is the oldest individual ever to play cornerback in the NFL?
The oldest individual ever to play cornerback? It's got to be Darryl Green. Darryl Green, final answer.
Question number 2. On November 23rd, 1984, Doug Flutie heaved a Hail Mary touchdown pass to lift Boston College over what team?
I thought you were going to ask me. I thought you were going to ask me who he played for. Oh, man. I want to say Florida State. But I'm going to ask for the options. Can I have the options?
Options are Miami, Notre Dame, or Georgia Tech.
Miami. Might have been Miami. Glad I asked. Miami, Georgia Tech, or who?
Notre Dame.
I don't think it was Notre Dame. I think it was Miami. Miami, final answer.
Question number 3. Name the only quarterback since 1980 to throw more than 30 interceptions in an NFL season.
Okay, can you repeat that?
Name the only quarterback since 1980 to throw more than 30 interceptions in an NFL season.
It's got to be Brett Favre. Shoot or shoot. I'm going to say Brett Favre. Final answer.
Question number 4. Can you tell us the pass blocking specialist who grew up in Germany and made 69 starts as a St. Louis Ram?
A pass blocking player from Germany. I almost feel like this has got to be obvious, but nothing's coming to mind. Germany. I'll take the options.
Options are Adam Timmerman, Tom Newton, or Mike Grudadoria.
I think Tom Newton. Tom Newton. Yeah. Newton, final answer.
All right, let's go over these. Anthony, how are you feeling after these 4 questions?
I don't know. Not great, but not terrible.
All right. Let's go backwards. We'll start with that final question. Can you tell us the pass blocking specialist who grew up in Germany and made 69 starts as a St. Louis Ram? Anthony, you took the options. You said Tom Newton. Scotty, you took the options and said Adam Timmerman. The correct answer is Tom Newton.
Oh.
Anthony up 1-0. Question number 3. Name the only quarterback since 1980 to throw more than 30 interceptions in an NFL season. Anthony, you shot from the hip. You said Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
Anthony, he was not an option.
Oh.
Would you like to know the options?
I would, yes.
The options were Jameis Winston, Eli Manning, or Vinny Testaverde.
I would go with Jameis. I would have gone with Jameis. Jameis Winston, final answer.
Nope, you can't do that.
Okay.
Scotty, you said Eli Manning. Correct answer is Vinny Testaverde.
Really?
He threw 35 during his 1988 campaign with Tampa Bay.
Wow, Vinny Testaverde did that, huh? Okay.
Score check, 1-0 Anthony. Question number 2. On November 23rd, 1984, Doug Flutie heaved a Hail Mary touchdown pass to lift Boston College over what team? Anthony, you took the options. You said Miami. Scotty, you also said Miami. The correct answer is... It's the U, baby. It's Miami. Scotty needed the options, though.
Oh, wow.
Anthony,
I thought you were going to hit me with that.
Still up by 1. The score is 2-1 heading into this final question. Who is the oldest individual ever to play cornerback in the NFL? Anthony, you did not use the options. You said Darryl Green. Scotty did use the options and said Champ Bailey. If it is Champ Bailey, we have a walk-off. If it is Fred Smoot, who was the other option, or Darryl Green, Anthony, you win the gauntlet today.
Okay.
Scotty.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose. Not today.
It was Darryl Green. Started until age 40, retired at 42.
Wow. And still ran like a 440 probably. Scotty, great battle, man.
Good job to you as well. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Scotty. Hey, I'm gonna stand firm on this. You are a great guy.
Hey, I appreciate
it. I don't care that Marsh didn't beat you yesterday, which is the telltale sign. You're a great guy. Marsh, I don't know what happened to him yesterday. You're a great dude.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing.
Scotty.
Right back at you guys.
See
Bye.
ya. Thanks.
So right when you were walking in, I go, Scotty, how you feeling? Thinking it was like, not great.
Yeah.
He goes, I feel great. I just picked up my daughter. I'm at her class right now.
That's awesome.
Didn't even care about the gauntlet. He was just happy to be here.
Wow.
He was more concerned about being with his daughter. And I knew at that moment, this is a great guy. And I don't know what we were trying to drum up in our head, but whatever it was, it isn't real.
You were even talking about him like having people in their basement, in his basement yesterday.
No, I think that was you.
I remember you said.
No, I don't think so.
Who's chained up right now in this guy's basement?
I don't even remember that, so it's funny that you brought it up. Because I think you might have said it.
What's funny, too, is you go, how do you feel, Anthony? I go, I don't know, not great. I could have said, you know what? Sun came up, beautiful day out. I'm hanging out with my guy Marsh, but I didn't. So maybe I got the human being stuck in the basement.
Maybe.
You never know. All right.
Or it's either in the basement or in neighbor Dave's garage.
Right. I could have brought the body over there. You never know. Good stuff. I should have known Miami off the cuff there, Marsh. I'm a little disappointed in myself in that one.
You had the right state.
I was seeing, but I think I was seeing with Florida State.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Georgia Tech sounded good to me in my head. All right. We have Anthony Becht coming up in less than 15 minutes. So we'll talk to the head coach of your Battlehawks about the upcoming matchup, their week 1 game. And I don't know if he's going to name a quarterback, but we'll certainly try to get that out of him, whether or not he's going to go with Manny Wilkins or our guy Max Duggan. We'll talk to Anthony Becht about that. But coming up next, how did the Cardinals take a leap forward this season? That's next on 101 ESPN. Waterboy goes, Anthony, with CD and Ribs gone, what segment is coming up next? For those that don't know, Jamie and CD never know what segment's coming up next, despite the fact that they've got a rundown in front of them, and I tease the next segment. Love those guys, miss those guys. Jamie will be back with us for 2 hours tomorrow, but CD will rejoin us next Monday once he comes back from Hawaii, and he's going to be pissed. He's going to be upset.
Why is that?
Full week in Hawaii. That's going to be a rough transition. I don't know when he gets back in. I hope he gives himself a day, but if he doesn't, he comes back on Sunday, turns right around, he's got a show on Monday. That's going to be rough.
I'm sure the choosing of Alex Texier to score last night will ease him.
Soften the blow.
It'll soften the blow.
Yeah. All right. How do the Cardinals take a leap forward this upcoming season? There was a story done by, I believe it was what, Marsh? ESPN?
Yep.
ESPN.com that discussed, it was a 2025 season previews, rankings, and things like that. There's a quote in it, though. The Cardinals are clearly a team in transition, and yet their general inactivity hasn't necessarily indicated as much. Success for them this year means getting production from the array of veterans still dotting their roster. So we're talking about Arenado, Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray, Eric Fedde, Miles Michaelis, Steven Matz, and then getting young players back for them via trade, either at midseason or over the ensuing winter. There are some no-trade clauses sprinkled in there, not just with Arenado, but with Contreras and Gray too, so it could be tricky, and that was from the Arthur Gonzalez. What is more important for the Cardinals this season? Getting production and seeing growth from the young players, or offloading the older veterans? Marsh, I would say yes. I don't know if you can successfully do both. For example, if Nolan Arenado is not moved at the deadline this year, you're blocking the opportunity for a young guy to play every day or consistently week to week, right? If you don't move Eric Fedde, or if you can't move Miles Michaelis, again, you're blocking the youth. I think it's got to be both. And this was something that, and this isn't even hindsight, Marsh, this is foresight. We all talked about this heading into the offseason. You got to eliminate some of these players from the current roster so that you can open up these spots. I don't blame the Cardinals for the Arenado deal. I don't blame Arenado. He didn't want to go to Houston, he nixed it. Okay, cool. There wasn't another dance partner. But I highly doubt that you couldn't get something for Eric Fedde. Even Michaelis, I'm shocked. If you're willing to eat what became more important, eating the money and freeing up the spot, or not eating up the money? And the Cardinals told us it was not eating up the money.
Well, this goes back to our discussion about what do you have in your system for starting pitching. The reason they're in this spot right now is because they don't have enough organizational depth that if they did bring up a Quinn Matthews and a Michael McGreevy and then got rid of those older guys, and then there was another injury to occur, who else do you have to bring up?
Right. Very true. You're right. If you suffer another injury, your organizational depth now takes a hit.
Now, you could trade for somebody, bringing in like an older piece.
And you already have that older piece, so why would you do that?
Exactly.
So, I get what you're saying.
It's a crappy situation to be in.
Would you be okay with it, though?
Yeah.
Would you roll the dice?
I would roll the dice.
So would I. I would roll the dice to see Michael McGreevy. I would roll the dice. And I would think that Quinn Matthews is close based on the spring training he had.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, still a pretty big leap, right? Because I don't think he pitched a full year in AAA last year.
No, but like when a guy has it, he has it.
And just listening to Quinn Matthews, like the TMA guys did a tremendous job talking to him. And you could tell he's got that nice, mature approach to him and a chip on his shoulder, too. He was not thrilled that he was passed over a lot in the draft.
And that guy's a pitcher.
Correct.
When was the last time we saw a pitcher?
Greg Maddux.
Well, I was going to say in this
Adam
organization.
Wainwright.
Yeah. I got his puzzle right here.
Yeah, you do. Thanks to Gator.
Yes.
All right, we got to wrap this up because we got to chat with our guy, Anthony Becht, the head coach of the Battlehawks, who open up their UFL season this weekend. And we'll talk to Coach Becht, among other things, about who he's going to choose at quarterback. I'm sure he'll tell us. That's next on 101 ESPN.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues pick up a 6-1 victory over the Montreal Canadiens last night. They'll take on the Nashville Predators tomorrow night, and you can listen to that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. The Battlehawks kick off their season on Friday. We're going to talk with Battlehawks head coach Anthony Becht. That's coming up next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
We're talking Battlehawks with the Head Coach. It's time for Anthony Becht's Call-In.
Presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, home of the Battlehawks box.
In 2 nights, the Battlehawks, our Battlehawks, will open up their UFL season in Houston. They take on the Roughnecks. Joining us right now via the Collier and Thompson phone line, as he does each and every week, is the head coach of our Battlehawks, Anthony Becht. Coach, how are you today?
All is good, guys. Great to be on.
Oh, it's great to have you on. I think I missed you last week when we were on. But Coach, I'm fired up for the season. Let's just get this out of the way first. Have we named a starting quarterback, or are we going to leave Houston guessing for the next 2 days?
Yeah, I'm going to leave them guessing just because it's the first week. I will say this, though. Manny and Max and Chev and all three guys are all worthy candidates. I'm really excited about the room. I think it brings a whole new look and perspective to the style of play and the obstacles, quite frankly, that defense will have to go against, plus all the added weapons that we've put around our quarterback. A lot of NFL experience, a lot of familiar faces. The leading rusher from last year in the league is back. So I think it was all about building a better team. And if we have a better team, then you don't have to rely on significant positions to be great, right? So we just need them to do their job. So whatever quarterback is out there, we feel really excited. But, listen, Max and Manny have done a fantastic job, and I think the guys believe in these two. And it's going to be fun to see, man. I'm really excited about this team. This is, we're building for a championship. We're not rebuilding. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to be better than we've been, and we've improved every single year. And that's my expectation level for the 2025 season.
Well, you mentioned the roster, and man, I'm just looking at your wide receiver core again. It looks fantastic. You've got Keem Butler joining you again. You got Andy Isabella, who played in the league. Frank Darby, who played in the league. I mean, Denzel Mims, you guys are loaded. But before we move to the wide receivers and some other spots, I just want to ask you about the quarterback room again. It would seem to me that mobility was something that maybe something you guys prioritized when it came to the QB position. Is that fair?
Yeah, I thought, number one, I thought last year AJ actually really improved in that area. I mean, he did some things with his legs that really helped us, and then he got, kind of banged up, and it kind of took that out of our repertoire. But, I just think, I watch teams, in particular Birmingham, who've won the championship in these leagues, and their quarterbacks have burned a lot of defenses because they're able to convert with their legs in scenarios and situations. So, of course, I just believe in the fact that, we have a new coordinator that really has a deep understanding of the passing game and really gives the information that's needed for the quarterbacks to understand where the ball should go every single play versus every coverage that they could give us. And I just feel like if there's a deep understanding of that, then the plan should be very clean. And therefore, we can hit those guys that you just mentioned, at the receiver position. And now it comes down to execution, guys making plays. So, listen, I can't wait to see it. I'm so proud of the way these players have battled through training camp and really have come together. It's very difficult to build a culture, quite frankly, in less than 30 days. But, we have a really good design and plan to put behind it that, these guys come together quick. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait. I always promise a great product, and the fan base should be excited about it.
Coach, heading into this season, you mentioned some of the new faces around the building. Has the approach to the offseason and how you guys prepare for this upcoming year, has that changed or evolved since last season?
100%. I mean, I needed to bring in more talent to up the competition, right? Because we got a lot of players that returned. So how do I push them? I mean, how do I get them out of their comfort zone? And I told them straight up, we brought 37 players from last year's team back at training camp. We added 27 more new guys, and all of them were sprinkled in at every position that guys, quite frankly, had played in the last couple of years. So it was about amping that up and really deepening the roster. It's very hard to say that you got a good 2 deep at offensive line in a spring league. We feel like we do. So, but for lucky for us, we have all our guys back except our right guard, and that's Abdul Beecham, who started 2 games last year. So I just, we wanted to get bigger, stronger, and faster in the interior defensive line. We felt like we did that. We returned 2 all-league safeties that went to the NFL 2 years before, and we already had an all-league safety from last year in Q. Cole. So Nate Metters and Lucas Dennis come back. We lengthened our cornerback position. Miles Mims and Miles Jones are 6'4" corners. And then Nick Woods Whiteside has been a great piece for us as well with our starters, Sebastian and CPJ coming back. So, again, we just got a lot of experience, young experience, guys that are hungry, quite frankly. And, we're all set on the same thing, team goals, and we want to win a championship.
Speaking of the team goals, and we're talking to head coach Anthony Becht of the Battlehawks in preparation this week. They've got their opener, their season opener against Houston Roughnecks in 2 nights. But Coach, you had mentioned, the expectations and things like that. You've been doing this now for a couple of years. I imagine for you, there's principles that you fall back on, things that you are steadfast on as a coach and a coaching staff, and the messages you have for the team. But you also have new players coming in, and you've got some veteran guys who have heard the message before. How much has your message changed from when you first became the head coach of the Battlehawks a few years ago?
The core values and standards that I stand by are religious. I mean, they are the same from day one because I was, I knew what I wanted when I came as a head coach. Now, all the other things that come with a head coach, I've continued to just push and grow and get better at those things and learn from those things. But the core values and the culture that I wanted to build has never wavered, which is great because, like I said, we do have guys that have been here a year or two, and they understand that. So I don't have to police everything now. There's a standard that's been set, and that's why the guys buy in, and they get it. Because if they don't buy in, then their own players will tell them, listen, it's not going to work. So, look, we there's a lot of players out there that are warranted to play in this league that can play for us, but we want to find the right ones. And we have a great staff. I think the great thing about my staff is we have over 100 years plus of NFL playing experience with our coaches.
Wow.
And you can see the gold that comes out of these guys' mouths when they're talking to the players and the instructions. I love sitting in the meetings and listening because it's just like, wow, like if I had this guy as my coach, the amount of knowledge that I get. So if they just latch onto that and listen to those things and really dial into what we're asking them to do, man, sky's the limit for these guys. So that's why I'm so excited about it, for a fresh season, a new year, and new opportunities for players and coaches.
Coach, it's amazing when you talk about like the gold that's coming out of these guys' mouth and things like that. To me, the best coaches, the best teachers are able to simplify things for players, put it in a way you may have heard it 1,000 times, but it was just that one phrase that's like, oh, now it locks in. Do you agree with that? And you feel like you've got that continuity among your coaching staff?
That's a great point. I always preach the mastering the details.
Mm-hmm.
We really hone in on, 10-yard or 15-yard dig route. Everybody knows how to run it, but, man, there's so many little details that can come with it. How you're getting played, the coverage, is it press, is the inside, is the outside? To get those nuances to now add that into your game instead of just running a 15, 18-yard deep in, now you can put those things together. It's really just about, filling the holes of these players. And that's why I love, those kind of coaches because, we got guys that have done it at a optimal level as a player, but they also understand and know how to communicate it at a level that isn't where they were. There's a process to get where they were, and they deliver that message in that process. So I take a lot of pride. I'll tell you right now, if I was a head coach in the NFL, I wouldn't hire anybody else except the guys that I have now. We got guys doing jobs of 3 men. You get 25 staff members in the NFL. I mean, we have an optimal staff, and I'll put them up against anybody, like legit dudes. And I'm not talking them up. Like, I'm proud of it. I love it. I sit back. Seneca Wallace is a quarterback coach. I mean, you talk about the skill set. That's his skill set, too. So just pairing players up with great coaches and looking for those guys to really make us great. And, fans can be proud of that, too. I mean, these are names that they know, which is even better. But they don't know is how good they are as coaches. And hopefully that's what resonates every year as we continue to improve, get better, and hopefully win a championship this year.
Coach, something you said there, too, about Seneca Wallace. You're not only getting Seneca Wallace and all the knowledge he has, but he's sharing the knowledge that he had from previous. I mean, he played in the league for a long time. He's able to share the knowledge of the coaches that coached him as well, whether it's Iowa State or in the NFL.
Well, think about this. I mean, Seneca Wallace, how many times that, he's kind of put the ball in the belly of a tailback and been able to read an end or three technique or a second-level defender and throw an RPO or pull it and run. I mean, listen, man, it's a dangerous, dangerous thing, but there is a skill set and an art to it. And when your coach can do it and show it and live it and, show his own highlights of it, I mean, that's just an amazing part about it. So the details that they get, again, it's gold. Everybody gets gold when they're getting spoken to, and I love that, man. It's just I'm proud of that because I got into this league to help players. The great thing about it is as we're helping these players, we're winning. We are winning games. So, you can go through a season and maybe only win 1 or 2 or 3 games and still help players, but, can you put it all together? And that's the challenges for me because I do put that pressure on myself because I want these guys to have success too. I just tell them all the time, put away your individual goals. If our team is good and we win, people want to watch us. People will watch you, and ultimately that'll get them to where they want to go, whether it's the NFL or they want to be here or whatever they want to do in life. We just try to make it full circle for them, but it's something that really the fans can be proud of, and that's what I'm proud of.
Coach, other than getting a win in Houston on Friday, what are you hoping to get out of Friday night's game? What are you hoping to learn from this group now that you guys are finally playing games?
Yeah, I want to see the fight. I want to see, listen, we're not running plays in practice where you're putting together a 7, 8, 9, 10 play drive. So who's going to be able to mentally be tougher in those moments when it matters and come out on top? Because both teams you can't go too hard, because it's a spring league. You don't have a lot of numbers. You got to be very efficient on how you practice. You got to count on the guys doing a little legwork on the end as far as getting in shape because you can't kill them in practice because some of our starters have to go play scout team after the series is over. So there is a very specific way to do this. And, I can say this, we're very fresh as a football team. I think after today, we will have 0 players on the injury list, and knock on wood, but I don't know if anybody will have that. So just, again, I want these guys to be healthy. They have the knowledge. It comes down now, you have to execute as a player, and that has to rise. That was one of our big things going into training camp and our meetings. You must execute at a higher level early in the season because when teams are trying to figure it out, can we be the one team that's already got it figured out, and we're trying to take those steps and separate ourselves from the rest of the league?
Well, Coach, I was fired up to watch you guys before you came on. I'm even more fired up now. Go get them in Houston. We're looking forward to it, and we can't wait for the home opener.
I love it, guys. Go Battlehawks, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you. See ya.
All right.
That's our guy, Anthony Becht. Great stuff. I mean, it is amazing. There's certain coaches that when they start talking, you just listen. Mm-hmm. And he's one of them. And it's somebody that had a career in the league. He was a first-round pick, had a career in the NFL. And when he says things, Marsh, like, I got into coaching so I can help players, mm-hmm. He means it.
Yeah.
Like, I know he cares about the wins and the losses. He's been mentioned several times we won't win a championship. It's not a rebuild.
Right.
We're trying to win here.
Well, and one thing, that stood out to me, we always talk about culture in relation to the Cardinals and the Blues. But with the Battlehawks, this league is still very young. And so to establish a culture this quickly in a matter of years, it's very impressive. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have this season because they were so close last year. I really do feel like they can be one of the better teams, if not the best team in the UFL this upcoming season.
Yeah, I do too. I'm looking forward to it. So the season opener, is against the Houston Roughnecks. Thank you to I think it was Andy who mentioned this. Let me scroll it up in the snake pit. It was Andy. And he said, wasn't Isabella cut a few days ago? He was. Andy Isabella was released. I had mentioned that. I was going through the wide receivers, and it was actually on the Battlehawks roster, but I apologize. I was on vacation last week. I didn't see all the updated news. So, Andy, thank you. Yes, Andy Isabella, former Bengal player who was joined the Battlehawks in camp. He was released. So, my apologies for mentioning him. Our thank you and our gratitude to head coach Anthony Becht for joining us. He'll do so each and every week in the Fast Lane. We've got Bet the Board next, and Marsh and I are still deadlocked. We'll give you our picks next on 101 ESPN. If you have a question, a mere question about whether or not you should refi, or if now's a good time to call about debt consolidation, do it with my guy, Stewie. Stuart from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. Stewie is the best, man. He does such a great job of helping people in unique positions. So if you're somebody that you maybe located your dream home, but you don't know if you can pay for it because you got a unique situation, like let's say you're an independent contractor, right? And sometimes when it comes to taxes and things like that and getting all the paperwork lined up, it can be a bit of a challenge. Not for Stewie. Call him, 314-324-4440. You can also Google the Bagel Loan to get his phone number. But throw the challenge at Stewie. He hands out his personal cell phone number because he wants that personal connection with him and his client. He's not some big company that when you call, you're going to get placed on holds, and maybe you'd get this automated service, and then you have a question, and the next time you call back, you're talking to somebody completely different. Not with Stewie. Give him a call, whether you are looking to refi, ask about rates, talk to him about a situation you have when it comes to finding your dream home, or maybe in a spot where you're like, man, I've got to cut into some of this debt. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I need some help. Stewie can help you. Again, 314-324-4440. Give him a call or text, and you can also Google the Bagel Loan, get that phone number.
NMLS number 226715.
Time to bet the board here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. All right, Marsh. I know you and I are deadlocked here. What's the latest standings, kid?
All right, so you and I have 10 points. Carey just picked up a point, so now he is at 6. Jamie is at 7. Unfortunately for Jamie, his Philadelphia Flyers did not play good hockey last night.
Yeah, weird selection from him.
Yeah,
you and I talked about that. Very strange that he decided to go with the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't get it. I didn't like the pick, but who am I to criticize a champion like Jamie on that? But nonetheless, here we are. All right, Marsh. Things are getting tricky here. I love that tomorrow we'll have baseball and Sweet 16. And in fact, the next 2 days we'll have Sweet 16 matchups because this is getting kind of hairy. Give me the under in the Raptors-Nets game at 215.5. 215.5, the under. The under's 8-2 in the last 10 meetings between the two teams. So, I don't know, taking a flyer on this. And both teams have stunk offensively. That's where I'm going.
All right, I am looking at the Vancouver Canucks and New York Islanders game. And I am looking at the period. I like those period plays.
Yeah, you do.
Right? I'm looking at the first period, and I'm going to go with over 1.5 goals in the first period. The other night, Vancouver took on the New Jersey Devils. There were 2 goals scored in that first period. I think Vancouver, unfortunately, I think they beat the Islanders tonight. I hope they don't. But I'm going to go with over 1.5 goals in that first period, taking the over.
Jamie Rivers is now up, and Jamie Rivers has decided to go back to the National Hockey League, of course, and he's decided to take the Edmonton Oilers at plus 120 at home against the Dallas Stars.
Interesting.
Yeah. Even though a little banged up, he likes the fact they're at home.
Dallas, I believe, on a back-to-back. If I'm not mistaken, or maybe I am mistaken.
You are mistaken.
I am mistaken. Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking of the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Wild. Dallas played the Wild a couple nights ago, and they beat them. So,
well done.
Interesting pick there by Jamie. He does like the Edmonton Oilers. He always picks either Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl for the power play point. So, surprised he didn't do something like that today.
Carey Davis texted us, and he wants the Washington Wizards plus 3.5 on the road against the Sixers. He has had very good success at times taking one of the worst teams in the NBA, the Washington Wizards.
Well, that's weird because he went with the Wizards 2 nights ago at -2. And unfortunately for Carey, the Wizards did not produce said result that he needed.
If I'm reading through his message correctly, he said they're due because they lost the other night. Oh, and then he said, hashtag love them Wiz. Love that Wiz, he said. So there you have it. Here's Bet the Board. By the way, our guy Paper Straws in the Snake Pit said, at Anthony Stalter, this year when you're picking your players to hit on the Cardinals, your pick should carry over until your next show. So, for example, Friday picks count for Saturday and Sunday, too. I love that.
This is for
the Cardinals home run picks.
Interesting.
So on Friday, or heck, tomorrow even, when we do our home run picks, because there's no game on Friday, Saturday and Sunday we'd have the same player that we picked on Thursday.
Yeah.
Or in a regular week, when you have a game on Friday, your home run call for Friday also carries into Saturday and Sunday. I don't hate it.
I feel like we're always trying to change the rules of stuff when Jamie's gone. We know he's rules guy. I feel like we're always trying to do that. I feel like we have to run it by Jamie.
Let me ask you this, Marsh. How sad in your pants are you on a Friday when you have a pick? The Newt. You go with the Newt on Friday.
Yeah.
He goes for Gopher. And then, of course, on Saturday, he hits a tater.
I just feel like that's part of the game, you know?
And then on Sunday, he also hits a tater. So you have the right player in the right series, just not the right day.
Well, now that has me thinking, what if we picked, we played a different game and picked a guy for a series?
Wow, now we're just opening up a whole can of worms.
If we did the hit game, but we did it for a full series.
Man.
or the home run game for the whole series.
Paper Straws just mentioned me. He goes, remind Marsh whose show it is. G-Dog also said, just send Ribs an email. Problem solved.
Well, I don't know.
Of course, he doesn't ever pick up his email. I'm sure G-Dog knows that. Never reads it. Never reads the email. All right. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. That was Bet the Board. Don't forget, we got Brad Thompson, our first hit of the new season with Brad Thompson coming up in 15 minutes. We're now seeing the fruit of Doug Armstrong's labor when it comes to this Blues team. We'll get into that next on 101 ESPN.
Well, I think that anytime you go to Stanley Cup Finals, you gain a lot of confidence because you're playing in big moments and you're playing at the highest intensity possible. And they both had success. I think that gave them a lot of confidence. And then they're really committed athletes. And the opportunity that they've been given here has been amplified compared to, and they would not have got, especially Holloway would not have gotten that opportunity. Not for a couple of years anyways. So I think you combine all those things. I'm just really grateful that they're Blues.
That was Jim Montgomery, the head coach of the Blues. Marsh earlier called him Jordan Montgomery. All right, it was me. It was me. I called
just
him
like
Jordan.
I said, Scotty had someone in the basement.
No, it was my fault. And the text line called me out for it, and rightfully so. Yeah, Jim Montgomery, the head coach of your St. Louis Blues, talking about the additions of Broberg and Holloway, and really just what has transpired with those two players since the Blues acquired them. And of course, he wasn't even the head coach of the Blues at the time. He was coaching the Boston Bruins, but fortunately, we now can watch Jim Montgomery operate, and we can also watch guys like Philip Broberg, who had a sensational night last night, and Dylan Holloway, who's had a great season for the Blues, really expedite this retool. We talked about it earlier, Marsh. I mean, they have those two additions, as well as Montgomery. All of a sudden, you look at this, and the future is incredibly bright for the Blues. Think about that. 3 moves, and we are all jacked out of our minds for the Blues' future. Mm-hmm. Holloway, Broberg, Montgomery. It is amazing when you get the right people in the building, how things can change in a hurry. And you've got guys, you've got a foundation. You got Jordan Carey, you've got Robert Thomas, you got Jordan Binnings, you got Braden Chen, Colton Parayko. You got those guys. But man, those 3 additions have really fast-tracked things for the Blues.
We talk about, players getting the time that they need to develop. Here's some time on ice. This is from Edna Garrett, not Edna Mode, of course, from The Incredibles, but Edna Garrett. Dylan Holloway last season with the Oilers, time on ice, 11:22. This season with the Blues, time on ice, 16:51. Philip Broberg last year with the Oilers, time on ice, 11:37. This season with the Blues, time on ice, 2019.
Yeah.
They're getting more opportunities here to play to show what type of player they are, and they're growing with this group. We talked earlier about Nolan Gorman. How is he going to become what we hope he can become if he's not playing?
Yeah.
Some people don't want him to play. They're ready to cut bait.
Yeah, true.
But, we're seeing it happen right now with the Blues. Mm-hmm. These guys are getting their chance. Same with Tyler Tucker. Tyler Tucker, he steps in.
Yeah.
Some people don't even want him out of the lineup when Colton Parayko comes back.
Come on.
He's been playing great hockey.
Yes.
But you're in that good of a situation that you have players that you can just slide right back in, and someone comes out of the lineup and you don't feel the effects of that.
Very true. Very true. I would think Bolduc, too. I mean, this is somebody that he was going to be a part of things, but it really took Jim Montgomery coming in and saying, hey, man, you're going to be playing.
Well, yeah, because he was sitting at the beginning of the year under Drew Bannister.
Right. You're going to play every night. And Zach Bolduc has really come alive as well. By the way, the Orange Reading Group has struck. Our guy Splashback Deuce from the Fast Lane, or from the Snake Pit, rather. The word that I've been trying to say is expedite. I think I've been saying expedite or something. Expedite, which means happen sooner.
Expedia. Isn't that like a company?
You're thinking of Expedia.
Expedia.
Yeah.
.com.
Expedite. Happen quicker.
That is the definition.
Thank you, Splashback Deuce. Again, Orange Reading Group coming alive here. All right. Nolan Gorman, I think, Marsh, you mentioned it. He kind of fits into this situation, too. I realize that Nolan Gorman had some runway last year, and he didn't capitalize. 2 years ago, he was fine. 2 years ago, he was a 2.4 WAR player. He was productive, especially given his age. So you've got one productive season, and you've got one non-productive season. In an organization that we have all said is not great at developing young talent. So can any of us say, without beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Nolan Gorman is not going to be anything more than what he is? Mm-hmm. He's just a bench player. And maybe that's all he's going to be. But I still think that you've got a player here that could be exactly what he is, a big guy that hits a bunch of home runs, but he's also going to strike out a lot. I think there is a place for him in this organization. I think the problem arises when we start to think about what we all thought he could be. I think Cardinals players, whether it's us in the media or the organization, we just put these guys on a pedestal. We start to hype them up. And I don't know what the solution for that is, because I'm excited to watch Jordan Walker. You see the talent there. You see the athleticism. You see what he could be down the road. So I don't know how you share that excitement without overhyping these guys. But I think that's part of the problem with Nolan Gorman. He was somebody that was built to be a franchise player, a core player. And that is not what he has become at a young age. That doesn't mean he can't carve out a role for himself.
I think we're in such a weird time with the Cardinals right now where people are just looking for success and they want it now. And he hasn't shown, at least in the last calendar year, that he can be a part of that recipe. So people are quickly ready to just kind of move on from him if he's not going to be the player that fans need him to be in order for this team to win. You know, I think you can get away with whatever he's doing at the plate if you are a competitive team. But since this team has not found success in the past few years, people are like, this guy isn't a part of it. He's part of the problem right now. He's striking out too much. He's not hitting the home runs. Like, we need to find somebody that can help win us ball games. They haven't seen it. Now, if he goes out there this year and in his at-bats produces, I think people will quickly change their tune. Mm-hmm. But you have to see it, right? Like, people at the end of the day, they just want to win. They don't care who it is that's on that diamond. They care about wins.
Right.
And right now, he's not a part of that, in my opinion.
Well, he's not consistent. Yeah.
He's not consistent enough.
Yeah.
So I think
and he didn't have a good spring training either.
No.
So that's part of the issue. And if the last thing everybody remembers is you being sent down, and then you have a bad spring training, people are not going to be excited. That's just, it's common
100%.
knowledge. It makes sense. Doesn't need to be said, but let's just point that out. So I don't blame anybody that's like, hey, you know what? I'm not really jacked out of my mind to see Nolan Gorman get more opportunities. We kind of saw it.
I fall into that category. I'm not here to get rid of the guy, but I fall into the category of you have to play your way into this lineup.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it as of recent.
Right.
If you can play your way into this lineup, that means something good is happening. That means you're probably finding success in terms of the win and loss column. If he is doing his job, you're getting power, right? You're probably scoring runs. There's a reason why he's getting more at-bats. But I have to see it first, which also means that someone else has to take a step back for him to probably get more playing time.
Very true.
Either way, it's a really weird situation to be in if you're the Cardinals. And I don't think that this is as big as of a conversation if this team is already having success.
Well, let's pull Brad Thompson into this conversation. BT will join us next. It's our weekly chat with Brad Thompson. Now that the season has started, he's going to join us every Wednesday. We're going to ask him, maybe we'll find our way to ask him about Nolan Gorman, but one player specifically that I do want to ask him about is Matthew Liberatore. What could be different about this upcoming season for Liberatore than in years past? We'll ask BT about it next on 101 ESPN.
We're hanging with Brad Thompson on 101 ESPN.
Hanging breaking ball from Brad Thompson. And boy, does he get a swing on it. Lift and separate and see you later.
Hanging with BT is sponsored by St. Luke's, ranked top 2% in the nation for cardiac surgery by Health Grades. Visit stlukes-stl.com.
It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN each and every Wednesday. We're excited to chat with our guy, Brad Thompson, World Series champion, of course, part of the Fastlane forever. And he joins us right now via the Callier and Thompson phone line. BT, I had the pleasure to see you not too long ago, so it's great to hear your voice back on these airways, my man. How are you?
Anthony, I'm doing great. I miss you. You and Marshy are sounding fantastic. And I would like to say, ha, 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 I get it. Hanging with BT, the hanging breaking ball, and then the home run. I think that this is starting off on the perfect foot, Anthony. Perfect foot.
Well, you know our guy Mike Ryder. He is clever.
He was so happy. So I went into the studio today. I was in there talking to Ryder, and he was like, can't wait for you to come on and listen to the intro. Oh, my God, this is going to be good for sure. And it was. He nailed it yet again.
Mike Ryder, always clever, not always somebody that you want when, he's doing promos and things like that for the show or a potential hit. So
here's what I know about Mike Ryder, and you guys know this very well. And basically, anybody that works in our industry knows this. You better be careful what you say around people who are recording you at any time, and you better be nice to them all the time because they can ruin your life. We could be not even deep fake. They can just take things that we actually said and throw them out there if you want to. So I love you, Mike.
Yeah, they don't even need a AI. They just literally have your words.
I said it.
Yep. All right, Brad, let's dive into these Cardinals. One of the things, I teased this throughout the course of the show today. One of the things I was really excited to ask you about, or who I was really excited to ask you about, was Matthew Liberatore. So we know that he's going to be a part of the starting rotation. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I had asked you this maybe a year or two ago about, is Matthew Liberatore's best spot in the pen or the rotation? I believe you said as a starter. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what do you think could be different about this version of Matthew Liberatore that could allow him to stay in the rotation for the foreseeable future?
You know what? I think it is what would allow him to stay. And you're right. I did say that when you asked me about it. And I still believe that he holds tremendous value either way. But I think the reason that he's able to stick this time is experience. He's done it now. He believes in himself and his stuff at the big league level. Remember, Libby, I know he's been hyped up ever since he came over. He's still just 25 years old. So still very young in the game. And last year he had a lot of success. 60 games, 6 of those were starts last year. Now, most of the success for him ended up coming out of the bullpen. But I had the opportunity, throughout the year to talk to him. But this is a conversation that we had 2 years ago. And he was just talking about his mindset. He was asking me, what was I thinking about when I was attacking hitters and when I was game planning. And we just kind of talked about the idea of going pitch for pitch. And I feel like that's something that he really dug into out of the bullpen, is one pitch at a time and the focus. Very similar, actually, to the conversation that Steven Matz had with shifting from the rotation into the pen. Oftentimes we could dig in too much, guys, on the scouting reports are important. The information is important. But the conviction on one pitch at a time is very, very important. I think that's something that Libby really was able to do. So he had the opportunity in spring, and really up until the final week or so, I don't think too many people were calling his name as a starter in this rotation. We all knew what the numbers looked like. We also knew the way that McGreevy was throwing the ball, but they love what they saw out of him. They believe in the upside there, and I'm pumped up for him. I had a chance to talk to him a couple days ago. He's excited for the opportunity, and I hope it's one that he runs with, he keeps all year, and he keeps for a really long time.
BT, what is one aspect of this team that fans might be overlooking heading into the 2025 regular season?
Well, look, I think that we know what this overall nucleus is. The bullpen, even without Kittredge, is still going to be a strength. I think your starting pitching is going to give you a chance. I think the thing that we need to remember for a ball club that won 83 games yesterday, and famously, look, they didn't hit. They were near the bottom of the league in pretty much everything. They played so many one-run games and didn't find themselves on top as many times as they'd want to. I think if they can figure out, and this is a very interesting thing to watch, and Brant Brown, their coach, has talked about this a lot, focusing on situational hitting, and that in spring training and obviously goes into the season. I think that if some of these young players specifically can really buy into playing winning baseball, okay? Winning baseball is a runner on third and less than 2 outs. Can you hit me a ground ball to second base or deep shortstop to get a run in? Like, those were the so many times last year. I feel like we saw, and I don't mean this in the moment necessarily. I don't think that's the thought process, but just optically watching, I thought in situations where you had a chance to score runs, I thought we saw a lot of selfish at-bats where it just wasn't, okay, this is what gets the job done. This is how we win. And I feel like that is something that I know has been preached, and I can't wait to see come to fruition, because if the Cardinals can flip some of those one-run games, all of a sudden this season looks a heck of a lot better.
Brad Thompson joining us right now on the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. BT, any concern at all with Sonny Gray's spring training? I know it's only spring training. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. But the reports coming out of Jupiter, the velo drop, and then also, he's dealing with an illness. 1 to 10, what's the concern for Sonny Gray?
Look, 1 to 10. Let's put it at I'll go right in the middle, Anthony. Let's go 5. Let's go right in the middle. So it's not no concern. It's not total panic.
Sure.
The big thing for me, it's not the numbers. Certainly, I don't care if he had a 20 ERA in spring training. That doesn't matter to me. But it is the way the ball is coming out of his hand, the way that he's feeling. He's talked about the downtick in velocity, obviously the illness that he's been dealing with as well, but nothing matters until tomorrow. That's when it matters. So to me, how does he feel? How does he respond? Maybe we won't see the magic flip of the switch of that velocity, but he is a veteran. He knows his stuff. He's creative. He could throw any of his pitches for strikes in any count. So maybe if some of that stuff isn't there like it normally is, he pitches backwards a little bit more. But for me, there is no concern going into the season until something happens in the regular season. Obviously, if there's a physical ailment, then you worry about that. Fortunately, the Cardinals at least do have a tiny bit of depth, the way that Michael McGreevy threw the ball. You really appreciate that. Obviously, Steven Matz in the bullpen. But I think that the big thing is, let's see what it looks like tomorrow. Let's see how he feels and how he responds. But I will say this. I would like it a whole lot more if your ace of your staff came into game one feeling good. I think they would give you like the warm and fuzzies inside a little bit more. But let's see what it looks like tomorrow, and then I think the conversation can take place.
BT, I feel like this season is about answering questions. I know a lot of fans have questions heading into the 2025 campaign. We talked about this earlier, something that you got to see for 2025 that will really make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. What is that one thing that you got to see out of this ball club this upcoming season?
Scoring, Marshy. That would be the thing. Scoring runs. There's if I got to pick one, it's hitting with runners in scoring position. The Cardinals were abysmal in that area last year. They did not get the big hit over and over again. It goes back to kind of what we were talking about, that playing winning baseball, simplifying things. And you guys know how it is. This is very true in pretty much everything, not just sports, but every aspect. When some aspect of your life is struggling a little bit, you hyper-focus on it, and sometimes that hyper-focus makes things worse than it does make it better. And I really feel like that was an issue for the Cardinals offense last year, where there was so much focus and so many questions on the hitting with runners in scoring position. I feel like they just kept grabbing the bat tighter, and to use a Duncanism, got tight cheeks a little bit, and then didn't take the kind of at-bats that they wanted to take. So for me, that is the one. I'm interested, though, because you guys kicked this around earlier. Where did you guys land on this?
So for me, I actually said an uptick in runners in scoring position. Also, I would love to see Jordan Walker elevate the ball more, and not so much from the standpoint of, well, he's got to change his whole approach and swing upwards, but he hits the ball hard. I'd love to see that gap to gap type of thing from Jordan Walker. I think it would really elevate his game.
I love that. Where were you at, Anthony?
I said I got to see a semblance of the 2026 rotation, because we have a good idea. Miles Michaelis, who's on the last year of his contract, and Steven Matz who's on the last year of his contract, and he's not in the rotation right now, but eventually he might be. And Eric Fetty, unlikely to be here next year. So I got to see some semblance of the 2026 rotation. Michael McGreevy. I hope that Matthew Liberatore stays in the rotation. I think he's got plenty of upside, right? So that's what I want to see. Maybe Quinn Matthews. And speaking of which, can you share some insight on how some of these young pitchers who we won't see at any point in April, but we might see down the road, how they looked in spring training?
Yeah. Look, I feel like it's really nice, and everyone has to do this, so it's nice to actually have tough decisions to make. The Quinn Matthews one wasn't necessarily a tough decision to sit him down more and more reps. Really, really well. And you guys had a chance to watch him. I know we had a couple of the games on FanDuel Sports Network that Quinn was able to throw. He threw in the prospects game against the Marlins that Chip and his son Stefan were able to cover and threw the ball incredibly well. So you love what you've seen out of him. Obviously, McGreevy is right there behind him. But the Cardinals, and there's tons of intrigue, right, in the Cardinals' top prospects. Tink Hence is another guy where you like the way that he has thrown the ball. But it comes down to, this happens a lot, we get so excited about different arms, right, and you want to see them right now, but you have to be patient. I think that the Cardinals are doing a pretty good job of being patient with it as well, which is important. You don't every day see a guy just get rushed to the big leagues, although the Angels just did that. Did you see the guy that they had no minor league time at all and ended up making the big league staff? That's always fun to see.
Mike Leake.
Very much like Mike Leake, minus the T-shirt.
Poor Mike Leake. You steal a couple of T-shirts, and all of a sudden that's all anybody talks about.
It happens. But yeah, there is some intrigue. Obviously, Gordon Graceffo is another one of those guys that the Cardinals really like, and just like the way that he competes, and really was a guy that there have been conversations about him, potentially being a high-impact bullpen guy at some point before breaking into the rotation. So there are good things on the horizon. Tekoa Roby, who came over in the Jordan Montgomery deal, the big-time breaking ball, high-octane fastball that plays well in baseball right now, right? The good four-seam at the top of the zone and the curveball that works off of it. So certainly some good things on the horizon for the pitching staff.
Brad, we talked about the offense and needing the offense to produce in key situations. One thing we haven't talked about, and one thing that Anthony is very concerned about, is the defense. Can you instill some confidence into Anthony that this defense is going to be fine?
Start with the catcher position, BT.
Anthony, I'm a big D guy first of all, right? Defense is something that I needed throughout my entire career. I didn't really rely on the strikeout. I thought everybody ended up getting bored with that.
That's true.
Use the people behind me. So you said start with the catcher position?
Yeah.
All right, I think it got better with the catcher position, with the Pages and Herrera. We'll see exactly what the time split looks like between the two guys. As you guys know, Pedro Pages is more sound behind the plate, better throwing arm than Herrera. Herrera just happens to knock the crap out of the baseball, and you need some right-handed thump in your lineup. So I got a feeling that you're going to end up seeing a lot of him. But both of those guys, and Herrera, who, like I said, he's going to get a bunch of at-bats. He has worked very hard. He worked really hard all offseason on his pop time, on his throwing arm, building some strength, and I think that you saw that look better in spring training. Same thing with game calling situations, knowing his pitchers, really dug into that. It's important, right? It's very, very important. We all knew that it wasn't going to be an easy transition from 2 decades of Yadier Molina. It was going to end up looking a little bit different, and it certainly has for the Cardinals. But I think that position specifically is not one that concerns me heading into the year.
What about at first base, Wilson Contreras?
Okay, it's going to look different than Paul Goldschmidt, probably. Just because, in fairness, Paul Goldschmidt is one of the best at the position.
Very true.
We spent it would be crazy. It would be talking out of both sides of our mouths, which I do all the time. But it would be crazy to say that it's going to look exactly the same because we spent a couple of years, the entire time that Goldie was here, saying how much better he made everybody else in the infield, and he did. Like you have Arenado making freak plays over at third base, and somehow Goldie keeping a little toenail on the bag, falling and making the play. I don't think that Wilson Contreras is going to have that right away, but a lot of teams don't have that type of guy over there. So just watching him, and not just watching him in the games, but watching him work early and really dig in on the footwork around the base and the throws that you have to make and the way that he maneuvered. Would not know if you just showed up to a spring training game and you didn't know anything about Wilson Contreras. You just watched him doing his work around the bag. You would have no idea that he wasn't a first baseman. He looks the part. He's getting better and better. There will be plays that he'll struggle with, I'm sure, and he'll have to work on those. But he looks good. But yes, Anthony, it's not going to look exactly like Goldie, but I think it's going to be a positive overall move for Wilson and certainly for this club because keeping him healthy and without the rigors of getting beat up by foul balls. I'm not even talking about a backswing breaking your arm or, a hit by pitch, just the overall, just the beating you take behind the plate. He's not going to have that anymore. His career high in home runs is 24. That happened back in 2019. He was an all-star with the Cubs. I think he hits 30 easy like this season. Playing first base, he beefed up a little bit. Everything that he hits is loud. And in spring training, and I'm sure you guys had the opportunity to see him, he had a really good spring. Everything that he hit, like all of his at-bats, he was like mid-season form. He's like bat flipping and staring people down. I'm ready for a big year for Wilson Contreras.
Nice. He's a big, strong guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's huge now.
He's a big, strong guy, isn't he?
He is.
Maybe he'll throw, I don't know, a manager or a coach or maybe even Pete Alonso on the ground, right on their face.
Maybe.
Look, sometimes the game comes to you. And I would say this, if you get in a situation like this, if you get in a situation, stay low.
That's
Leverage is always a really good thing.
Don't use your throwing
that the Cardinals
hand.
teach.
Yeah, right.
It's the Cardinal way.
It really
Stay
is.
low, roll them up.
it's the new Cardinal way.
It's evolving.
Hey, BT, before we let you go, Dylan, first game tomorrow?
My son?
Yeah.
Going to the game or playing in a game?
No, is he? Doesn't he got a game coming up?
Oh, he does. Well, thank you, Anthony. He does. So this is how good I am as a coach, and he has a bunch of great coaches on his team. But I help out in the off season.
Sure.
We all got together during the off season. Coaches hanging out. We're going over all these tournaments. Maybe we had a cocktail or two.
Sure.
And we scheduled a tournament in Bettendorf, Iowa. It's an indoor tournament, going to be awesome. I was pumped up to go. We scheduled it for this weekend, so I won't go. But the kids are going to have a blast. They're going to have a great time going for this, and I'm going to have a great time watching the Cardinals take down the Twins, I hope.
There you go. Andrea, you'll be great. Just,
she's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
road trip mom. She's got this covered. I'm in charge of the dogs. Maybe my daughter. I'm not sure yet. I haven't found out exactly what I'm in charge of. So
you can always send Lexi over to our house. So
be careful what you wish for, Anthony.
I'll just, you know what? Madeline can watch them all. That's fine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. You'll get a knock on the door soon.
Yeah, okay. It's fine. Kristen's home. BT, love you, man. We appreciate you. We can't wait to talk to you each and every week. Make sure that you enjoy opening day tomorrow, all right? It's going to be, you already do this as it is, but enjoy it.
It's going to be a blast. I was at the ballpark today, and it's fun. There's always so much excitement. I know that the expectations for this team are up and down. There are some Cardinal fans that are excited about the young guys. Some people are mad at everybody. Enjoy opening day. Enjoy it for the escape that it is, and then we can complain about everything after that, okay?
Absolutely. We got 162 games. Yep, that's perfect.
Yeah. It's a deal.
Absolutely. All right, BT, we'll see you, buddy.
All right, gentlemen. See you later. You guys sound great.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks,
we'll
BT.
see you, man. That's our guy, Brad Thompson. Love him. Great dude. Great father. Great, commentator, great analyst. He's one of the best. We will talk to him each and every Wednesday here in the Fast Lane. We'll come back. We'll react a little bit to some of the things that BT said. We went along with him, but he was fantastic. But we'll react a little bit to what he said, including some key things, I think, on Wilson Contreras and Sonny Gray. That's next on 101 ESPN. Mosby Building Arts, they are the right remodeling company. Let me give us some scenarios when it comes to the wrong remodeling company. They're the people that come in, they say, oh, yeah, no, we'll do your project, no problem, we'll do it for this price. And they come in, they undercut everybody, right? And you're like, oh, great, I'm going to save all this money. And then they start adding costs throughout the course of the project. That's something a wrong remodel will do. We're talking about hidden cost. A lot of times they'll start, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, they got a bigger bid, and they're like, well, we'll come back, and then your project is delayed. Go with the right remodeling company. Mosby Building Arts are fantastic. They've got honest pricing that's up front. You know what it's going to cost, and they stand by their craftsmanship, and they stand by their work. They have the right not only remodeling team, but you also sit down with stylists that will find out what you're looking for. And I've talked to people that have worked with Mosby. I'm talking about clients that have worked with Mosby Building Arts. I talked to one client one time that said, you know what, I just wanted a couple of options. I don't want to be overwhelmed. They're the experts. Just give me two options. I'll pick one of them. Then I talked to somebody else same night, and they were like, you know what, I love the fact that they had so many different options because I like really going through all the different looks and things like that to see if I maybe would love, various things when it comes to a kitchen remodel. Mosby Building Arts, they work with you and they do a great job. Trustworthy construction team, friendly, dedicated people. Call Mosby Building Arts at 314-909-1800. Tell them Stalter told you to call too. They'll love hearing that. Visit callmosby.com. Then you can schedule your free consultation today and see the difference for yourself. It's Mosby Building Arts, the right remodeling company.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues have won 7 games in a row. They took down the Montreal Canadiens last night by a final score of 6-1. They'll take on the Nashville Predators tomorrow night, and you can listen to that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Opening day is tomorrow. If you're heading down to the ballpark, be safe, have fun. Hopefully the Cardinals come out with a winner. We will be on from 2 to 6. We will not be downtown tomorrow, but you can still listen to us right here on 101 ESPN. If you missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page and you'll find all of our interviews, including the 2 we had today with Battlehawks head coach Anthony Becht. And of course, we just talked with Brad Thompson, former Cardinal pitcher. You can find him on FanDuel Sports Network. If you missed those interviews, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com. The podcast page is all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. We're going to dive into what BT had to say on your St. Louis Cardinals next, right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Hey, don't forget that 101 ESPN. Tomorrow, we'll be broadcasting live from Ballpark Village for opening day. So the morning after crew and BK and Ferrario coming to you live tomorrow from Ballpark Village. Our opening day broadcast is presented by General Pest Services, Rawlings, and by Budweiser. Unfortunately, us here in the Fast Lane will not be down for opening day. Kind of a decision that was made because CD isn't here and Jamie will be in Nashville. So we're going to try to connect with him for 2 hours, and if it's just Marsh and I and Jamie on the phone, a little weird. So but again, BK and Ferrario and the morning after crew will join. We'll be out there tomorrow, and I hear Mo is going to be on, and should be a great day. Should be a fun time, and I know a lot of people are going to be down there for opening day's festivities. Also wanted to let you know that the Professional Women's Hockey League is in its second year, and it will conclude their inaugural takeover tour. It's a 9-city series of neutral site games that's featuring the league's 6 member clubs, with Saturday's game between Boston and Ottawa being played in St. Louis. So it's March 29th, this Saturday at 1 p.m. Tickets are now on sale at enterprisecenter.com. Again, enterprisecenter.com. The charge features St. Louis native Jinsey Dunn, and she's the 2022 Olympic silver medal winner. We talked to her, I think, last year around this time. The schedule is going to be great. We're talking about multiple game. We're talking about the big game Thursday, March 27th, which is tomorrow. Obviously, the events are going on. You've got games, you've got media availability, and they got a local girls hockey clinic. A lot of great stuff. It's the Takeover Tour in St. Louis, a professional women's hockey league. EnterpriseCenter.com is where you can find your tickets.
Real quick, Anthony, biggest takeaway from BT's interview?
There was 2 that I had. One, he said, Wilson Contreras, he wouldn't be shocked if he hit, 30 this year?
I like that.
A lot of people are excited and ecstatic about Wilson Contreras. I don't overlook, from a hitting standpoint, what it could mean for Wilson Contreras to go from catcher to first base. He also said, I thought he was fair. He's not going to be Paul Goldschmidt defensively, but it won't be an issue. His defense won't be an issue. The other thing was, when I asked him about Sonny Gray, I said 1 to 10. 1 to 10, what's your concern level? And he paused and he said, I'm a 5. And he basically said, I'm not concerned. There's some concern there. But I don't think it's going to be a huge issue, which kind of didn't make me feel good.
No, you would like to have your ace be ready to go.
Yeah.
Although he was a little banged up at the beginning of last year and then came out of the gates when he was healthy and looked great.
Very true. I guess what I'm saying is Brad is very optimistic about things, especially his Cardinals.
Yes.
So if he's saying a 5, he really means an 8.
Ooh.
I think. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
This is my opinion.
Yeah.
Or maybe an 18. I don't know. So that was my two biggest takeaways.
Well, we'll be able to have concrete evidence and details
soon enough
tomorrow. And we know that details matter. And there's a huge episode that's coming out this week. So we'll just leave it at that.
Reacher. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Andrew Marsh and I will wrap things up next. Anthony Becht and Brad Thompson for joining us today. Marshy, it's been a fun show, just you and I today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I felt like we've done okay. I
hope so.
I mispronounced some words. I called Jim Montgomery Jordan Montgomery.
Hey, it happens.
Hey, it's been a good show, and you can listen to all of it if you download the podcasts, which is available, of course, at 101ESPN.com or on your Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. All the podcasts, of course, brought to you by Schaefer Door Company. Marsh, what'd you learn today?
I learned that the Blues are a wagon.
Yeah, they are.
Didn't really learn that today. I learned that last night. Not that I needed last night to really help me buy in, because I did say a couple weeks ago they'd win the Stanley Cup. Might have said it in jest, but I'm going to stick with it. But last night really proved to me, I'm like, wow, this team is unbelievable. I don't think they'll ever lose again. No. Shout out to Shorzy.
Yeah, I don't think they will either. I'm with you on that. What I learned was, even though you lose in the Gauntlet, you can, in fact, lose to good people. Because Scotty, as it turns out, a legit good dude.
Yeah.
And I hate that I had to beat him in the Gauntlet, but look, it's competition. And he was still fantastic about it. He's so respectful at the end.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to our 3 stars before we get out of here. Our 3rd star of the day goes out to Anthony, telling the entire city of St. Louis something that he said and saying that I said it.
Yes. And he did that on multiple occasions today. Yeah.
Absolutely. Our 2nd star of the day goes out to Brad Thompson's jokes. It's always great to hear those.
Love BT.
Love his humor. And, of course, I said it earlier today. I'm sticking with it. Our 1st star of the day goes out to Isaiah Peed.
Isaiah Peed. A lot of people felt as though that when they tuned into the fast lane, they would definitely not hear the name Isaiah Peed. But we did. Tanisha, great show, Stalter and Marshy. Thank you, Tanisha, from the Snake Pit, Splashback Deuce. You can make it up by saying Anthony DiScalfani, first shot. There you go, Splashback Deuce. For Andrew Marsh, I'm Anthony Stalter. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk a little Cardinals opening day. See you.